What is up, team, and welcome back to the Technical Fowl podcast. You're joined by the three of us today. I'm Jack Anderson. To my right is JP Pusilowski, repping the Packers very hard today. Has the Rodgers jersey behind him as well as the green G shirt on. I guess I don't really know what to call that shirt. Team logo shirt.
You could say it is the Gordo Wave. They do have the exact same logo. There's also probably
a lot of high schools.
a lot of high schools. I know in Georgia especially they didn't have the Green Bay colors. Gordo does.
Gotcha.
But there were a lot of schools that have the Green Bay or Georgia, whichever you want.
Grambling State. You don't even have to go to high school.
Green Bay or Georgia. Let's not give the credit to Grambling State.
No, I'm saying Grambling State has their logo. Like Fair. It's not just high schools that have that logo. It is other places and teams as well.
Sure.
Yeah, we're repping them hard because it's good to be right. Packers are on their way to the 1 seed.
It was a huge win. And then to my left, we have Sanders Oakley. How are we doing, Sanders?
Fantastic. Just wrapped up a women's basketball game, and the dynamic or the difference in watching the two basketball teams play today is notable. One team does not look fluid or have any chemistry, and then the women's basketball team you watch, and it was definitely rough to start, but I watched them tonight, and they're cooking. Like, it's a lot of fun to watch them, and the way they work together and the passes they make. It is truly a team out there that I'm watching, so it's pretty fun.
Sure. Big win. I mean, it was Charlotte, but a win,
yes.
a win is a win is a win.
True.
Much better than the men's team can say today, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I've been saying for weeks, at least for the women's basketball, I have been to the games with Vic Schaefer when the team was great. I've got this poster or this sign that I took to the Final Four in 2017. And what I have been telling people is, like, I don't really care who we beat, because for the general public, they don't care who the women's basketball team beat in whatever month this is. All they care about is, like, oh, how many wins do we have? Like, if we've got one loss when we get to January, people will show up for SEC play, because, like, that'll be the first time it's on the radar. And they're like, oh, we've got a women's basketball team that's 13-1 or 15-2. Like, I'll go watch them, and they're
Sure.
number 24 in the country. I'll go watch them. So.
Sure.
I would love, just to beat some good teams. We lost our probably our biggest game of the season at Texas Tech on the road. Texas Tech is still undefeated, so it's a quality loss. But I'm not too worried about big wins right now.
Got to show up for something in the hump. This year.
Correct.
And sadly, it'll be just women's basketball.
Yeah, I do think that
or
the
just
most
graduation.
I've been in some of the most electric environments, or of the most electric environments I've been in the hump. I still think the most electric was a women's basketball game. I think South Carolina, the year we beat South Carolina, and that was the season we went undefeated in the regular season. I think that's the I almost passed out from cheering and from, like, jumping up and down and oxygen, not enough oxygen coming in, more oxygen going out. That was incredible. But we're not there yet.
Sure.
But I am excited to keep watching women's basketball and keep working those games and going as fans and going getting video stuff.
Fair. You did better than me when it comes to watching my team play today. So
who did you? The Commanders? Y'all lost 31-0.
31-0 to the Vikings in 9.
I'm about to say. I mean, Can you really be mad when you lose to 9? Like,
I can be pretty mad.
Yes.
Jaden comes back and you drop 0 points and he gets hurt.
So. Did he got hurt?
Yeah, he's fine. He just, like, fell back on his elbow, and we were down by, like, 20 plus at that point. So they let Marcus finish the game. Well, that's the brother of the girl from Notre Dame, Arike Gumbawale. Yeah, that's her brother or cousin, but I'm pretty sure it's her brother. I mean, the Chiefs just gifted him that touchdown. With that being said, though, what's on the docket for today's show? We are going to look at the College Football Playoff Top 12 that was unveiled today, the final Top 12. So we actually have a bracket in front of us now. We can talk about that, just initial reactions to matchups, who we feel like potentially got screwed. We can hash out the Notre Dame-Miami controversy like everyone is and how that unfolded, whether Bama should have dropped, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then we're going to do a little bit of a state. It was going to be an off-season primer, and we hired Zach Arnett, which is what we were waiting for to do it. And we still will talk about off-season goals and stuff a little bit. But now there's a bowl game to play because enough teams opted out, and state shout out the academic quality of the football team. They hit the books hard, and that earned them a bowl spot at 5-7. The classroom matters, I guess.
Not the first time. In fact, I think I could be butchering this, but the last time We made a bowl game when we were 5-7. We played Wake Forest.
That's elite.
In the Music City Bowl 2011, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So now the question comes when we get there.
No, I don't think 2011 was the last time we were 5-7. I think we were 5-7 in 20.
But did you make a bowl that year?
Yes, we went to a bowl game.
No, you weren't 5-7 in 2018.
We were 5-7, I believe, after 2017.
2018, you went 8-4.
Maybe 2019.
And then 2019, you went 7-6.
We were not 5 or 4-7 in the
Hold
Piss
up,
and Miss Egg Bowl. Look, I could be butchering it, but if
I swear, 2018 8-4, 2019 7-6.
That's the last one.
2016. Thank you, Tucker. I knew it was not 2011. I knew it was a time that I remember, but I didn't want to
pull up the what bowl game were we in then, so we can get this stat correct.
Hold up, I got a freaking. I'm gonna pull this over here because the screen crops out. 2016, Dan Mullen. It was the Outback. Nope.
No, I was gonna say no.
St. Petersburg Bowl.
Did not know that bowl existed.
Yeah, it's not called the St. Petersburg Bowl anymore. I don't.
2011 we were 6-6.
2011 we were 6-6. Yes, 6-6.
So yeah, I butchered it.
Yeah,
all good.
No, you knew it was there.
I remember that bowl game very vividly. My dad made a really big deal about it because he was being sarcastic about it, but he made a really big deal to me that we were going to the Music City Bowl.
I mean, any bowl is a big bowl.
For some teams, Notre Dame would disagree.
True.
They said if it's not college football playoff, we don't want it. Anyway, we'll break that down. We'll get to the state stuff. We'll do our game recaps. The stock market is closed today due to the fact there weren't very many games. There weren't any exciting stocks to trade, so it's just a stock market hiatus.
Yeah, I prefer to think of it as I just really like where our investments are at. And so we're just holding on.
I made a lot of bad
investments.
trading.
Maybe we do like a 5-minute update.
I think we just scroll through and we can see what hit and misses are. That's a great idea.
Fun.
So we actually will take a trip to the stock market. Just no stocks will be bought or sold today. Shall we get to the top 12 unveiling?
Yeah, we can. Do you want me to do this in bracket form, or do you want me, or do you just want to talk about it? Or do you want me to put it? I can put up the top 12 right here.
I think you just put up the top 12. We can talk about matchups instead of trying to get a whole bracket up there. I don't
Bracket's
really
pretty
care too much.
self-explanatory too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you remind me? It's Indiana, Ohio State, Georgia,
Texas,
Oregon. Oh, Texas Tech, Oregon,
mm-hmm.
and then Ole Miss.
Yep. A&M.
Oklahoma, Alabama.
Yes. Miami. Sadly, UVA gets bumped, and Tulane will take that spot, and James Madison holds at 12. We got that right.
Yes.
Shout out the Dukes. They're only 21.5-point dogs in Eugene.
Depending on where you bet, it's 20.5 if you're with
huge
ESPN.
difference. Huge difference.
I don't know where Kalshi has it, but we'll get on that.
Kalshi's too busy making other lines. Sanders, I'm gonna kick it to you first. As when you get it up there.
Yep, it's up there.
Perfect. Biggest reaction to the bracket?
My biggest reaction is I struggle just a little bit with the whole. I think Miami should be in over Notre Dame. However, I don't like moving teams around when neither of them played. And so I think that the committee was already in kind of a lose-lose situation, in my opinion, from my perspective, because I do think that Miami should have been in over Notre Dame. But in order for them to do that, they would have had to do something else I didn't like, and that is to shuffle teams around when neither team played. And so that kind of bothered me. Not dropping Alabama at all. I saw a stat that I believe in the last 3 years there have been 22 conference champions who were ranked in the college football playoff ranking, and 21 of those losers lost. Alabama is the only one out of those 22 teams to lose and not drop.
So Alabama is really special then. To lose and not lose is really, really sick.
What did I say?
You said 21 of those 22 losers lost.
Sorry, dropped. 21 of the 22 teams that went into their conference championship ranked and lost, they would drop.
And Bama didn't.
And Bama did not drop. So SMU last year dropped. They did not drop out of the playoff, but they dropped.
Sure.
BYU this year drops. I guess from 11 to I don't know where they
12.
12.
I think it's pretty clear why they didn't drop. Aside from SEC bias or big name bias, the committee wanted to put Miami in over Notre Dame, and if they dropped Alabama, that kind of means Notre Dame would have moved up a spot, and so then Miami isn't necessarily right by Notre Dame, but they also still wanted to keep Alabama in, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you kind of either had to drop Bama 2 spots or not drop them at all if they wanted to say, well, now that Miami's right next to Notre Dame, we're going to take into account the head-to-head and flip them.
Yeah.
So then they were stuck in a tough spot.
The committee was just in a tough spot, like I said, in my opinion. Like, they kind of were in a lose-lose situation, like you mentioned. It's just a really unfortunate position for them. And they put themselves in it. So I don't have a whole lot of, like, concern or, like, I don't know.
Sympathy?
Sympathy, thank you.
Yeah,
Sympathy for the
welcome.
situation, for the critiques that come their way, because they kind of put themselves in that spot by how they ranked Notre Dame and Miami all season. But yeah, that's my first reaction is I like Miami being in over Notre Dame because I like the head-to-head being respected, but I don't like moving teams around when neither team played, because Notre Dame goes into the conference championship weekend thinking, all right, here's what we need to happen, here's what to root for. Miami goes in kind of like, I guess we're on the outside looking in, like this is tough, and then you just flip everything on its head. But yeah, that's my biggest reaction.
That's fair. It is interesting, though, that this is kind of the last time Notre Dame is in this predicament.
Yeah, I saw...
Because they basically have a deal where if they're in the top 12 at all, they're in.
How? Who? How? What?
The rumor is, and by rumor I mean I was talking... A friend told me this, and I trust my friend. I don't think he just made this up out of nowhere. They basically made that concession with Notre Dame so that in an exchange... If there's future expansion and future negotiations, Notre Dame has no say in them.
Oh.
Which I don't understand why they made that concession to Notre Dame, because I don't know why Notre Dame had any say in them regardless as an independent. Like, how much power does one school really have? If Notre Dame wants to, like,
go off and do their own thing?
Yeah, like, cry and stomp their foot and say it's unfair. It's like, what are they going to go do?
Yeah.
Join
the NFL.
Apparently that's the concession they made. Yeah, join the NFL.
As one of the expansion teams?
Yeah. Notre Dame Fighting Irish, the 33rd NFL team. But no, that's what I heard. I don't know if that's true or not, but that is interesting theory. I mean, it is kind of interesting that they get left out. They don't move. It sucks. But also, Josh Pate said this. We've echoed it a lot as well. Tons of people have said this. It's hard to feel sympathy for a team that doesn't get in on the bubble because you clearly had issues with your resume. You had multiple losses.
Yeah.
You dropped games. The team you get left out for, you lost to them on a field.
Yeah.
So whether you think Notre Dame is better than maybe or not, I think Notre Dame's better.
And one of the other teams that you lost out to, Alabama, which I think that the Notre Dame, Miami, Notre Dame, Alabama, I think it was all semi-comparable. Notre Dame has those great losses. Alabama went on one of the greatest 4-game stretches I can remember, beating Tennessee, Vanderbilt, Missouri, and not Oklahoma, Georgia. Just an insane 4-game stretch, winning those 4 games in a row without a bye, without a break. And so it's hard for Notre Dame. Like, they don't have a spot on their resume that even comes close to comparing to that. Sure, Alabama's got the Florida State loss. That's why you have to weigh the pros and cons and work through all that. But, yeah.
It is what it is. JP, your biggest takeaway from the bracket, or the rankings, I guess. Or bracket, either one.
I think we have to get rid of the group of 5 stuff, and a big part of it is.
Wait. When you say get rid of it, you don't.
I don't think there should be automatic bids at all. Honestly, now that I've seen this playoff 2 years in a row, I liked the change we made from last year, because under last year's model with this year's teams, Tulane would have a first-round bye.
Yeah.
Which would be crazy.
Just like Boise State had a first-round bye, and just like Arizona State had a first-round bye. I like that change. We've made that change, and now that makes sense, and now we don't have that problem this year. But now that I've seen it the second year, I don't think that they should have the automatic bid, because while we have fixed what was a problem last year, which was the second-round games, 2 of them had It didn't feel like a lot of intrigue because Texas is playing Arizona State, big favorite, and Penn State's
good
playing
game, though.
Boise State. It turned out to be a good game, and I imagine Tulane and James Madison will give some kind of good. One of them will give us a good game. But Boise State, Penn State was also that's a problem, and for that to be a second round game. Now that we've pushed it back to a first-round game.
Wasn't the Penn State-Boise State game like a good game? Like it was low scoring, close into the third quarter?
Penn State won by 3 touchdowns, I'm pretty sure.
It never really felt that close.
Look, I think what I'm trying to get at is we've moved it to the first round. Okay, that's good. But now, like, I don't think we should have them at all. Because when I think about how Group of 5 teams have made the playoff in the past, just one, Cincinnati. They earned it. Yeah. They were 13-0. They won at Notre Dame. They had won their conference title game against a really good Houston team.
Shout out Desmond Ridder.
And they had players and they had proven results, and they earned the right to be in that playoff. Now they put up a stinker against Alabama, but who doesn't put up a stinker against Alabama? Yeah. Had they had played someone else, maybe it's a different story.
Sure.
And so the quick reaction was, well, they just never deserved to be in at all. I completely disagree. Now I don't think that they should be given the free pathway in, and especially not 2 of them, because they haven't earned it.
Yeah,
they don't have the wins for it. If James Madison had went undefeated, then maybe there's an argument for that, like Cincinnati did. If Tulane had went undefeated and they had won the American and they had beaten Ole Miss at Ole Miss and Oxford already this year, then they deserve to be in that top 12 more than likely. But sitting here where I don't know where they were actually ranked. I would assume still probably both in the 20s. They haven't earned the right to be inside that top 12, and so that's where you could get rid of the debate of the Notre Dame.
Sure,
Notre Dame could just be in, and then you'd still have the same damn problem because you'd have transgressions over Vanderbilt and Texas and Utah and BYU.
Someone is always going to get left out. It could be a 32-team bracket, and someone's
and then you've got
the fact that Kennesaw State's not in the 32-team bracket is going to piss me off.
Yeah.
Look,
when your team's outside the bubble in March Madness, you're the 67th team.
Agreed.
And you're like,
we got 128 team bracket, and UMass fans who are they going? What? Like we had 12 quality losses.
Well, look, the UMass guy deserves any right to be pissed about UMass sports. That's besides the point. So I don't think that they should just get the free path.
Okay.
And I think they should have to earn it. So I would just do the 12th highest ranked teams because then you don't even have the problem with these conference championship conversations.
To be clear, you're not even saying it should just go down to the 4 or like the Power 4 get an auto bid. You're just saying it should just be the 12 ranking.
Yes.
I think I agree with you, and I actually didn't think I would. Like, if you asked me yesterday, I would have disagreed. But thinking about it today, I'm pretty heavy in agreement with I want the 12 best teams in. And this doesn't give us the 12 best teams in. And the committee typically will, echo that we want the 12 best teams in. And so we're not succeeding in that by guaranteeing Tulane and James Madison get in. And I love James Madison. I've gone up to bat for them all season.
Yeah.
In this format, they deserve to get in.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't convince me that James Madison's a better team than Notre Dame, no matter how hard you try.
I have a couple things on that. So my first thing is I hate that because that's how you end up with a 2-conference league. Because teams will be like, well, like the only way the voters will respect me is if I'm in the SEC or the Big Ten. We saw it just happen to BYU.
Well, there's a lot of issues there.
They went 11-1 and lost their conference championship to the number 4 team in the country.
They'd be in on my model. They'd be the 12th seed.
Okay, but there are still there are going to be teams that I think are like the only way we're going to get respect is if we move. Like Clemson leaves the ACC and joins the SEC. Notre Dame finally joins the Big Ten. Like stuff like that. I think that it would just lead to more teams going to the super conferences because that's where the voters have an expectation that the best teams are in those leagues.
But this doesn't help you get any more respect.
No, but it gives you opportunity. And then the other thing that I'll say is I don't know why. So college basketball has what? 16 auto bids, 16 to 24 auto bids it's 32 auto bids, but 16 to 24 of those don't deserve to be in.
Sure. That's
over a quarter. That's over 25%. In college football, it's 1 out of 12, maybe 2 out of 12 if the ACC doesn't botch it. So I know that college football and college basketball are not the same thing.
Well, I mean,
but there are 136 teams that play FBS football.
To help to your point, even last year, Arizona State would be in with mine.
Yeah.
In the top 12. But Boise State would because they earned it.
Clemson probably would not have been.
Clemson would not be because they didn't earn it. I don't see it necessarily that way because I don't think Clemson needs to be. That's diabolical.
Is that ball game?
I don't.
No, it's not a ball game.
It's
still
close.
3.5 minutes left.
And it's Kelsey. I feel bad for my boy who is Kelsey Mahomes, and he's fighting to not be in last in the league. I disagree because it hasn't needed to be that. That hasn't needed to be the case in the past. Clemson has been the ACC and made the playoff multiple times. Got the respect to be in the top 4.
Mm-hmm.
Texas Tech this year got and earned the right and earned the respect to be in the top 4.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the opportunity is still there. It is on you to schedule well out of conference, and part of it is luck, but you also, if you're going to play weaker teams in the eyes of everybody else, then go out and either dominate them, kind of like Texas Tech did this year with 12 wins of 20-plus points, or 2, just win all the games, because at the end of the day, it seems like year after year it is just you are what your record says you are, and that shouldn't be the case because you clearly aren't, but that would be enough to get you in to a top 12 team. Any undefeated team right now at all, honestly, I think would have very, very close to an argument, except for maybe Conference USA.
You're saying a 13-0 Conference USA team would not be in the argument to be a top 12 team?
It depends on who they played out of conference.
Here's, I think, my pushback on your idea, Sanders. I do agree. Like, I get what you're saying completely. And I'm going to have to try and tread a fine line here so I don't get called a homer. But what's the best conference?
The SEC.
What's the second best conference?
The Big Ten. I'd say it's 1A.
Okay.
We don't have to get into that. I don't want.
I would have accepted either answer for best and second best. But either way, you kind of proved my point of like, those are the 2 best conferences, and I feel like they've earned some respect that comes with that.
Okay. By taking the best teams from other conferences.
Either way.
Okay.
But even before they took the best teams, who was the best conference 5 years ago?
I mean, it goes back. I mean, back then it was SEC, but even before then, they took Texas A&M.
So 2011, what was the best conference? I know, I was.
It's SEC, but if you go back to the 2000s, you've got the Pac-12 with USC.
Sure.
You got the Big 12 with Texas and Oklahoma.
And back then, it was different. The different. What's the word? Different conferences had different levels of respect.
Yeah.
And the best way to get respect for your conference is to go win, right? 3 years ago, 4 years ago, we probably wouldn't have even said that it was 1A, 1B with the SEC and Big Ten. I would have sat here and said SEC is easily the best conference.
Yeah.
But now the Big Ten's gone and won a ton, and so now it's like they've forced their way into this conversation. And now if you look at the rankings, honestly, the Big Ten's getting just as much help from the committee as the SEC is in terms of Ohio State loses. They have a worse strength of schedule and a strength of record than Georgia. They still stay at 2.
Yeah.
Oregon's the highest of the 1-loss teams that didn't play in the conference championship games, aside from Texas Tech playing the conference championship game. So they are. They're above Ole Miss and Texas A&M, despite having worse metrics than especially A&M, because the Big 12 has just won a ton, and these teams have earned respect. So I just feel like I still feel like the teams have the power to go and make the committee respect them.
Okay, my last thing, and this, I'm interested in y'all's thoughts. If you went to 12 best teams, I don't like the idea of people picking the 12 best teams, because I think that a big part of when a person picks up one of the best teams is what logo do they have on their helmet? I think that's one of the realities. I think that if you're going to talk about best teams, I don't like that idea. I think that deserving should be a part of it. But if you're just going to pick the 12 best teams, I think a computer should do it.
Fine by me.
Okay.
Sure.
I didn't know if y'all were going to push back on that, but I think that like I just don't. Yeah.
And I do want I will say caveat, like I just said, I want the 12 best teams in within reason, and that kind of almost feels like a cop out for me. But like,
yeah, I feel like if you're going 12 best, you got to just go 12 best.
But I'm just saying, computer models love certain things like talent and other things. Like we've seen with, for example, the Josh Pate model.
Yeah.
For just using him because I know we all three watch him. The model sometimes, like Texas is having a terrible season. They're 7-5.
I think Penn State was still top 20 when they were.
They are top 20.
Yeah, and they just don't
right
fall
now.
out. Like clearly, that team, I like the computer is wrong on that team for whatever reason. They're not playing up to that level
Penn
on
State
the field.
took the number 1 team in the country down to the wire. Is the computer wrong?
The computer is wrong. If you want to tell me Penn State's a top 12 team in the country, a top 20 team in the country, I would disagree. I think almost everyone in the nation
Penn
would
State
disagree.
would be favored over 116 teams in college football.
This is true, but I think that's what I'm saying about like within reason, because at some point it doesn't necessarily come to fruition on the field. I've seen it with A&M have done.
Yeah.
A&M has crazy talented rosters, but I watch us play and I'm like, we suck. We just lost to App State at home.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I mean by within reason. When the resumes are comparable, when the strength of record, strength of schedule are comparable, when the win losses are comparable, that's when I'm like, okay, put the best team in.
Yeah, and that's where I think a computer needs to handle all that, or at least every single meeting needs to be live streamed because that would be electric.
It should be. I think there should be more people because when there's only 12 of them, one voice in the room can change everything.
We could just go back.
We can see already with when we picked our March Madness bracket with just 3 people, how much one person can change how our bracket looks.
Yeah.
When Maryland ends up in the national or wins the national championship,
Sure.
in our in a college basketball bracket. So I think there should be more people, like 60 people, give or take, for that to be. Or I'm fine with the computer, but I do think you should just go to 12 best teams because if the group of 5 teams want to be in, they have to go earn it, and teams have earned it in the past. Cincinnati enough to get inside the top 4. And so I don't think it's limiting opportunity. Go schedule harder games and go win all of those games. And when you play the weaker schedule, go undefeated.
Yeah.
And that will be enough because people love undefeated teams.
Because also, actually, last thing, and then we can move on to another aspect of this.
Well, okay, I have another aspect.
Okay, well then I will kick it to you after. Even if you're talking about most deserving, like I'm not positive that 11-2 Tulane team is more deserving than a 10-2 Notre Dame team or a 10-2 Vandy, just because they won the American Conference. I mean, losses aren't everything. They have some big wins in the American, but I believe they lost to Navy and then they got trounced by Ole Miss, which was kind of like their big game.
Yeah.
Similar with James Madison, you had your kind of big game and you didn't go win it. So like I'm not sure. I definitely don't. They're definitely not one of my 12 best teams. So I don't even know if I'd say they're one of the 12 most deserving teams.
How do y'all think this conversation will change? Have you seen the data about how recruiting rankings are changing? About how the gap between 1 and 50 now is the same as it was between, I think,
I did see that,
1
yeah.
and 25 a year ago? Whatever. I don't know if I may have mixed it up. But basically, recruiting, it is actually spreading out. People said, NIL is going to spread out talent and, transfer portal is going to spread out talent. And then it looked like it wasn't because all the good players from bad teams were just going to transfer to the good teams. But it kind of is looking like the talent might be spreading out. How do you think that changes the conversation going forward?
I'd be interested to see how that study was done, and y'all can correct me if I'm thinking about this wrong. Is it high school stars?
Yeah, I think it's just high school stars.
Because, like, what do we say to the...
But it's just high school class, so there's no transferring. It's just saying that in the 2026 class, the gap between 1 and 50 is the same as it was between 1 and 25.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see how that plays out down the line, but I do get that makes sense. Because what I was going to say is if we're going off high school rankings and it's where the talent is, like, that's just scuffed statistics because, for example, I guess Malachi Nelson would give UTEP a nice little 5-star.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I think we're safe to say Malachi Nelson is not a 5-star talent. But what was your question with that?
Oh, just how do you think that will impact the conversation? Because talent is such a big part of our team's good. I don't know. I'm just interested to see how that impacts the the conversation about who the 12 best teams in the country are, with guys like 4 and 5 stars committing to like Sacramento State, which that's just like I just know that guy because he's a Mississippi kid, but he actually ended up flipping to Colorado.
Yeah.
But the point is that like there are talented guys going to smaller schools.
I think
you got Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Landing, Vanderbilt landing a 5-star quarterback.
I think
just like the talent is spreading around.
Cromie makes a good point because it's like even if the talent is spreading out in the initial high school class, is it staying spread out? If that makes sense. Cal's going to hold on to there.
JKS is committed. That's just an
he's
example.
committed to coming back, but we've seen also a lot of in recent years younger players playing really well and then leaving, even if maybe they weren't the highest rated kids. But like, think of all the running backs that are no longer in the group of 5 ranks and have gone to other higher schools. So it's like I'm interested if the talent actually really stays spread out, or if it's still like as they rise the ranks of the college classes, do they kind of funnel back into more of the top schools?
What's interesting about all those group of 5 kids is none of them were quote unquote talented coming out of high school. They were like 3 stars and unranked.
Sure.
So I don't know. It'll just be something interesting to keep your eye on.
The models will definitely reflect that if that does hold true and continues as a trend, because that's one of the things the model loves is talent profile of teams, because obviously that's just a great predictor in general. Any other major...
What was your big takeaway?
Well, my big takeaway is I think A&M got put in a terrible spot and kind of screwed in a lot of ways. I think they've flown under the radar.
I think y'all got blessed by not having to host Notre Dame.
But we should just be 5 or 6. Let me get my take out, and then you can combat it. I think we're flying on the radar as the most screwed team, second to Notre Dame, because people feel like Notre Dame got screwed. I don't feel like they got screwed. I think they got a tough break, but they put themselves in the balance of the committee. You had issues with your resume. You got left out for a team that you lost to. So I kind of have it hard to say you get screwed when that happens. A&M is at 7, Ole Miss at 6, Oregon at 5. A&M has the 3rd best strength of record in the country, and we have a higher strength of schedule than Ole Miss, Oregon, Texas Tech, everyone above us actually.
Yeah.
We have a higher strength of schedule, and so I don't necessarily understand how we're at 7, also factoring in the fact that Ole Miss lost their head coach. And the committee says stuff like that is supposed to matter.
Yeah.
So we go from potentially being 5 or 6, getting a team that we're favored by 3 scores against, to now having Miami at home, we're favored by 4.5, 5. And then, hey, we win that, we get Ohio State.
Yeah.
Round 2. Sucks. Just doesn't feel very deserved, in my opinion, that we're there. Once again, I'm not going to harp on it too much. I'm not going to go consistently cry about it. If we lose to Miami, I'm not going to immediately say, well, we should have been 6 because we lost, and so we left our fate up in the hands of the committee. That's no good, and so this is what they did. But it just doesn't really make sense to me by a lot of their metrics that we're at 7.
Yeah. I guess they decided, first of all, that with the DC and OC both back to coach, because the OC ended up flying back from Baton Rouge, right? He got on the plane and then came back. So the DC and OC are both still there. So I guess the committee decided that was enough to run or to manage the game. And then as far y'all's loss is worse than their loss, and their best win is better than your best win.
Barely.
Their loss is to number 3. Y'all's
their
is to Texas.
Best win. They clearly honestly ranked those
Oklahoma,
teams by
and your
by
best
worse
win
losses.
is Notre Dame.
Notre Dame's at 11, and it's 8-11 in the committee's eyes. That's quite a small difference.
Yeah, and that's why they're one spot ahead of you.
And it's BS. They made up a whole metric called strength of record to help them sort teams, and we're 3rd, and we end up 7. And I'm not saying we should be 3rd because there's other things that go into it. Georgia, Texas Tech won their conference championships. They played an extra game. Sure, put them ahead of us.
No, Jackson, those are not the only 2 games that matter. But if you look at Texas A&M's schedule, tell me who they played in the SEC.
But strength of schedule says we have a resume that's 20 spots higher than Ole Miss. They're 40th in strength of schedule. We're 18th or something like that.
Yeah.
Our strength of record's 3rd. I don't even know what their strength of record is. So you can say we played a weak schedule. They played a weaker schedule. Oregon played a weaker schedule. Texas Tech played a weaker schedule.
I just realized Ole Miss has wins over 2 playoff teams. But I'm not going to count Tulane to Ole Miss's favor.
Yeah, big win, huge, and they got to go do it again.
Yeah.
So congrats to them. It feels unfortunate. It doesn't feel deserved. I guess I don't feel like we deserve 7, but spot the ball. We'll go play.
Yeah.
And the other thing that sucks, and I get why they did this, but we have the 11 o'clock kickoff on Saturday.
That's what actually sucks.
And I know why they did it is because there's NFL games that night. And so they don't want their best game to compete with the NFL games. And I'm sure ABC had the first pick of those games. Mm-hmm. But, man, so we do get to host the game, and that's
cool.
But
it's not even the best game. Alabama-Oklahoma is technically a closer spread, right?
Yeah, but that's on Friday night. And
okay.
Yes.
Sorry. I didn't.
This game on Saturday night.
Correct. You had 2 easily best games, and we get the 11 o'clock kickoff in Kyle, so we don't even get to take full advantage of our home field. Once again, it's not like us getting screwed by like any specific person. No one has it out for us. We just kind of got screwed by the system in that sense, and that the NFL is a much bigger brand. No one wants us to you don't want to have to compete with the NFL. You want to put the James Madison Oregon Massacre, in the night slot.
Yeah.
Because no one's probably gonna be watching anyway in the second half.
Yeah, and for the fans and for the team, what TV channel you're on doesn't matter.
Correct.
And how many viewers you have doesn't matter.
What
matters is Kyle Field in a night game
playoffs and
versus
the advantage
Kyle
that gives
Field
us
at 11 a.m.
Yeah, and so that really sucks. That honestly makes me more upset than the fact that we're 7 and not 6 or 5. Is that we have to play at 11.
I wonder if it'll. I mean, I understand it with the NFL stuff, but it just feels like you may not. I think you'll get a better number than you would that night, but you lost all the spectacle. The big game should be played at night.
Completely agree.
And the big home game should be played at night. And look,
I should have to walk around that day for 8 hours, stressed as all get out. The anticipation building, and then I finally get to watch my team walk out under the stars.
Yeah.
And there's just none of that.
And no disrespect to Oregon and full disrespect to Old Piss, but Kyle Field is a better environment than those two. And so, I would have been less upset if it had been at 2:30, because then at least the second half it fades into night.
Yeah,
you
get a nice, especially like the 2-minute timeout. You get a nice, I guess, and with the time change now and it getting darker earlier, you get some
the fourth
lights.
quarter light show.
You get some fireworks and
correct.
some lights.
I would have taken that too.
But no, we gave that to Old
Y'all could
Piss.
always root for 104 overtimes, and that would get you to dark.
I think I'm good. I think I'm good about that. Does not sound good for my health. I will not lie.
202 2-point conversion plays.
I would not be alive. I genuinely think I would have passed away if I didn't go through that.
202 plays, your season is on the line.
I kind of like the mind games though, because then you've seen every play the other team has. So then it's like,
I wonder at what point it's just like we are just handing the ball off to a running back and running it up the middle every time from now on, and we're just going to see what we can do.
It would be 202. No, that should be 101 trips from one side of the end zone to the other, because they flip each time with each overtime.
Yeah.
So it'd be 101 flips.
That's insane.
101 walks across, 101 commercial breaks.
But also,
at the end of the game, they would pan to the crowd, and everyone would be yelling, but you wouldn't hear anything because everyone's lost their voice. So it's just like a hoarse whisper from the crowd of cheering and trying to get the center to false start, an example.
Yeah, Chromie pointed out it's the first playoff game in Kyle ever. Only the 6th ever playoff game on a college campus.
Yeah. This is when I'm like, why does the NFL have to exist? Though my Commanders do play at 4 that day. So I could potentially, hopefully I'm rolling in from a win in
Who
Kyle
do they play?
to the Commanders. I think it's the Eagles.
Oh, dear.
It's a huge game.
It's a massive
lock
game.
in, Commanders, please.
I'll see what we can do. And, yeah, I just don't know why we're at 7 to wrap it up. But also, I feel like I'm objectively right that I have legitimate gripes to have with that spot. But I'm also a Texas A&M fan, so of course I'm going to have gripes with my spot.
Yeah.
It could always be better.
We're moving away from the playoff now?
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
I think so.
Well, then last one is Oregon got screwed with the timing, because when they beat James Madison, sorry to the Dukes, they're going to have to play a noon kickoff in Miami against Texas Tech, so a 9 a.m. body clock kick. I I keep messing that up every time. In the Orange Bowl, on not that this makes it any better, but I'd argue it makes it worse. On January 1st, a day after, the morning after you've stayed up all night for the new year. Because, I would love to get my sleep for the game as well, but I'm not missing New Year's.
Yeah.
I'm celebrating that. I'm at least watching that thing going to bed. So look for Texas Tech to win that.
On the bright side, they will get New Year's 3 hours earlier than normal.
True.
Maybe they just don't go to sleep. They just play an all-nighter game.
I haven't
don't
enjoyed
think that's
that
go well.
since I've moved and lived in Central Time and celebrated some New Year's every year. I prefer the Eastern there.
Fair.
Personally.
Everything about I'm not going to speak to that.
It's literally just for New Year's. I understand.
Yeah, everything about Central
Time
is
I understand your debates, and I agree.
Yeah.
I
could see New Year's being better in the Eastern time zone because it's like actually you're the first one.
It's when New York.
It feels like the real New Year's.
Yeah,
it's when the ball actually drops.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I completely agree with that take.
Very famous.
Okay. Shout out Georgia. Last question before we move on to the state primer. Which first round game intrigues y'all the most? There's really only two options.
Bama OU.
Fair.
It's Bama OU.
A&M Miami for me.
It's Bama OU. That's gonna be a crazy matchup. The poetry. If Alabama loses to Oklahoma at home and then goes in and beats Oklahoma in Norman.
Yeah.
Norman. Thank you. Just poetry. It's gonna be great. I can't wait.
It's just to think how quickly OU and Texas now in just their second year in the league, and we already have two of these storylines on top of the storylines that they already had with Oklahoma, Missouri, and Texas A&M. But now you have the OU owns Bama and Georgia owning Texas. You already have those two storylines, and we're just in the end of our second season of them two in this conference. I can't wait.
Chromie just said Bama OU, a game we just had. Imagine if the committee left in Notre Dame of Miami, so we had Notre Dame at A&M, Alabama at Oklahoma, and Tulane at Ole Miss. 3 rematches in our 3 of the 4 first-round games. That would have been wild.
I would have not enjoyed our rematch. That would have been scary.
Very.
That's a great Notre Dame team that I really feel like could have won it all, but
yeah,
tough.
Tucker said Bama dominated the first matchup. They're more banged up now. It was the turnovers.
Hopefully you'll get healthier, Tucker.
The game is what, New Year's Day? Eve?
The 19th.
Oh, sorry. And then
they play in 2 weeks.
Excuse me, you're right. And then the second round games. That's right. Are around New Year's.
Yeah, they play in 2 weeks.
Okay.
That game may be like a 13-10 final or something like that.
For OU to win, yes.
Yeah.
They'll need that.
That's fair.
I think Bama can win scoring more.
The Bama's offense definitely has a higher ceiling, though it's not really shown it much of late. I mean, Ty Simpson claims they have the best offense in the country. So.
I don't know about that when we get into our game later.
I don't know about that one, Chief.
I mean, I'm not gonna dog on some guy for propping up his own offense, but I do think he's not. Exactly
I wouldn't expect
y'all
truth to dog on y'all's guy. Like, he's your quarterback. So
This is true. Yeah.
I didn't dog on Blake Shapen.
I'm a huge Ty Simpson believer.
So
you're a huge Alabama guy.
You didn't until you were like, all right, I'm out on Blake
Then
Shapen.
I realized that I needed to.
Like that's how
Glenn feels.
You've never sat here and
I've made a.
You never said I think Blake Shapen sucks or like
I think Blake Shapen sucks.
Okay, wow. All right,
was not expecting
there you
that.
go.
I mean, I've made a phrase of shapening.
What are the odds that we
true.
get him to try out for the bowl game since this is his last game as a college football quarterback?
He'll be in the portal, trying to get a waiver.
Yeah, and there's always a waiver to be found. It's like there's always money in the banana stand.
What?
If you know, you know. There's always a waiver to be found. I just
You're gonna have to
can't
look that one up
explain
in the
it.
post.
Yeah, we gotta move on.
Yeah.
Please.
Now to Mississippi State news, just general.
Nope.
Hello,
Sorry.
Whitehead.
I put up the wrong graphic. Sorry.
What's up, Joshua Whitehead?
Give me just a sec. Sorry.
You're good. I'll preview it while you're pulling it up.
Yeah.
We're just gonna talk general state off-season plans. We'll start with the big fire and hire that was just made in terms of Coleman Hutzler is no longer the DC, and they bring back Zach Arnett, former head coach former DC, did both in his time at State. One went a lot better than the other. He was a great DC here at Mississippi State. A terrible head coach.
Yeah.
Is he the worst head coach in State history?
I don't know. I don't know the
I don't think so, but he's in the debate.
Yeah.
I don't feel like having the debate.
That's
to be
fair.
honest.
It's a hard conversation just given
Yeah.
the context. But regardless,
yeah.
I think the general consensus around this
he
hire
didn't lose
is
to Toledo, so
fair. They enjoy this hire. The fans are excited about this hire. Do y'all agree? Are y'all on that same boat?
Most of them are. There's some fans and former players who do not like the hire. That's not even a dig at Will Rogers. I realized as I was saying that's how it
I
sounded.
thought you exactly were making a dig at Will Rogers, which we're not having that debate because that'll go on for way too long.
Yeah, but there are other players who I think didn't really like the hire, and there are definitely fans who are talking, not saying it's not great.
I'm on the it's interesting side of State Twitter. Then I have seen no negative buzz
Oh,
about this
I've
hire.
definitely seen some negative buzz. I don't remember any specific accounts, but there's definitely some negative buzz. Majority, good buzz.
I mean, I think a lot of it is the defense was so bad and Hutzler's gone, so everyone's happy with that. It's almost a lot of more excitement about that, less of who they're bringing in.
let me start.
Take it away.
Look, Zach Arnett, hiring him as a defensive coordinator, I can tell you, is a great move.
Yeah.
It is 100% a great move. When he is in charge of 50% of the team, I guess you could say 40% of the team, if you want to give 20% to special teams, which we should. 40% of the team, he is, in his 3 or 4 years here at State, he had a top 5 SEC defense, which if you're going to have a top 5 SEC defense, that's a pretty damn good defense.
Yeah.
Given how the SEC plays defense in this conference. It's not the Big 12 or the former Big 12, I should say. We're very, very good at playing defense. And he had top 5. So statistically, he is very, very proven. On top of that, he plays a ton of he coaches with a ton of energy defensively. He coaches his players hard. And because of that, there were moments as a student in the first 2 or 3 years with Arnett as a defensive coordinator where you were never worried about a team when they got in the red zone or when they got on your side of the field because you knew 2 things. The cowbells were going to be ringing, and somehow, some way, the defense was going to make some big-time play. And there were tons of those moments while he was the defensive coordinator here at State where we had big-time sacks or an interception or a stop on the goal line. And there's nothing more energizing than that. It is so demoralizing to have the offense walk back out there after you've given up a touchdown. And so with the Arnett hiring, I think the biggest thing for me is twofold. One, going to be great as a DC because he was great as a DC. He's going to have playmakers. If he had Hutzler's players last year, he would have had the same results, maybe a little marginally better. And maybe with this year's players, you could argue he would have had slightly better results. I think Hutzler would have had better results than he had this year with next year's players.
Probably so.
But Arnett has a higher potential to have a better season defensively, and that is required and that's needed. And then the second thing is you have to. I don't care how you feel about it. You have to throw out everything that occurred with him as a head coach and throw it out the window. It has nothing to do with him as the defensive coordinator. Not a single decision he made, not a single interview he had, not a single press conference, not a single decision inside the game. You can't take that into account. That has nothing to do with what he's going to be asked to do while he's here at State. And
I feel like some of it does factor in.
I agree.
None of the in-game decision-making, none of the game plan stuff, but relationally, and
Yes.
the relational things that happened when he was the head coach and the relations that got tanked and the hurt from players and that stuff,
Yes,
I
sure.
think does matter.
Let me finish.
Sure.
He was put in a honestly unprecedented situation
Sure.
where his head coach sadly, tragically passes away, and he is immediately put into interim head coach. And with the fire of that and everything around that, goes into a bowl game, and he wins the bowl game. And because he won the bowl game, and because there was so much emotion tied, so much trauma even tied to him, it immediately became clear, at least at that point in the cycle, it would make sense to hire him full-time as a head coach. He wasn't ready to be a head coach, and that was clearly shown by the decisions he made.
Sure.
And the relationships he had with players who have done amazing things for state. Will Rogers, to name one. That will not be who he is as a defensive coordinator, because he doesn't hold that kind of power to make those kinds of decisions. He is simply going to be what he was prior, because that is the same role he is hired into. And but I think you have to take all that out of the equation, because he made those decisions and those actions as the pressure of a SEC head coach.
Logically, sure, but realistically, when emotions are in play, you're almost asking someone to what's the phrase? You once something's out, you can't put it back in.
Yeah, you can't put the toothpaste back in the bottle.
You can't put the toothpaste back in the bottle.
Or the tube, whatever.
In the tube, yeah. Yeah.
Whatever vessel toothpaste is stored in.
We butchered it. You get the gist. And so I get he was in a tough spot, and he shouldn't necessarily be held accountable for that stuff. Does everyone else feel the same?
I'll give you an example right at the top of my head, and I don't even want to say his damn name. Dennis Allen. Sure. Terrible, awful head coach. The Bears are leading the league in takeaways this year, and they're having very, very good defensive play. He has been great as a defensive coordinator. He was with the Saints prior to being hired as the head coach. Bad as a head coach because he had the pressures of being a head coach. Relationships, he had the exact same problems. He's just now hired as the DC with the Chicago Bears, and it's working. And they don't have those problems.
Sure.
No, I understand you have every right to be still upset with the decisions he made, and I am too, because what he did with Will Rogers is inexcusable. You can't do something like that. You can't promise something and not deliver. Breaking a promise is one of the things you cannot do.
Sure.
But he doesn't have that kind of power anymore, so he can't make those kinds of decisions.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The thing, and this will be addressed in less than a month. If players that he's recruited, Isaac Smith, Zachary Tillman, another D lineman I can't remember his name, and then Zachary Tillman. These are all guys he recruited in 2022 or 2023, excuse me. If these guys transfer out and they don't stay to play for a guy that they committed to as a head coach, maybe that's indicative of their thoughts on him after the way he handled being a head coach. If they stay, I have zero concerns. That's kind of my take on it, is
Sure.
If the guys that he kind of screwed over their freshman year, kind of screwed over the whole team, admittedly in a really tough situation, but he still made those decisions. Even though he wasn't ready to make those decisions, he made the wrong decisions. So he kind of screwed over the whole team. If the guys that he did that to their freshman year, they stay, then I am 100% in on this. And if they leave, then I'm 90% in on it. And there's still a tiny part of me that's okay, well, is he going to have issues in the portal? Because guys are going to have heard the stories of what he told players that he was,
Will Rogers going to be giving him a call. Yo, man, stay away.
Yeah. So I'll be interested to see how portal recruiting goes and how maintaining our roster goes. If both those things go well, then clearly it is the consensus of players in college football that we are trying to recruit and trying to maintain on the roster that head coaching year is just kind of erased, and that all they care about is what he is as a DC. And if that's all players care about, that's all I care about. If that is all Jeff Lebby cares about, that's all I care about.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think we'll have the answer to that question in a month, when we know who's going in the portal, who's not. When we start to hear about who we're getting out of the portal, that'll be big. But yeah, I'd say I'm 90% all in on this specific hire to 95%, with the potential to be 100% this was a fantastic home run hire.
Sure. And I mean, that's a lot of the questions you have are questions you'd have no matter who was hired, is can they recruit here? Obviously, there's more context behind it and a reason for why they couldn't recruit. But if you hire, if you hire anyone to be a DC, your immediate question is, how does the recruiting go? How do they handle the portal? How do they handle keeping the current players in the boat? And for the record, I actually do like the hire. I am just interested to see how it goes with kind of the current players in the fold.
Yeah, and I think that Levy and Arnett could create a really dynamic duo because Levy is an excellent recruiter. He was the lead recruit for Braylon Womack, who was our best recruit. I think a top 3 recruit or a fantastic recruit in school history. I'm not sure where, but he shows
top
up
10. I don't remember
10.
Exactly where.
7,
he's on the 24/7 like all-time recruits page. He shows up.
I believe he was one behind Chris Jones.
Yeah, so he's
Jeffrey Simmons.
Yep, Levy was the lead on that. So Levy's a fantastic recruiter, and so if Levy is just going to be the lead recruiter on offense and then also do a lot of the lifting on defense, and he's able to do that and still coach the offense, then I'm all right with that because that means that we're getting guys to Zach Arnett that he can work with and develop and coach up some pretty fantastic defense.
I have to imagine that is the way it's going to be.
At some point, your DC does have to have some sort of draw, though.
Yeah.
Like, Jeff Levy can do all the work, and I'm not saying Arnett's going to be like, this is an extreme example, and then they go up to Zach Arnett, and Zach Arnett's like, doesn't speak to them, or and then it's like, okay, well, I love Jeff Levy, but Zach Arnett's going to be the guy I'm working closer with, and I don't like him, so I'm going to go elsewhere.
That's fair, that, like, the DC does have to be, like, approachable, and, like, but I'm not really concerned about that.
He is approachable by the statistics he has, and by the players that he was able to produce.
Yeah, clearly it's not been a huge issue in the past. He's gotten other good players, so I don't think that's going to happen. And also, you got to factor in all the position group coaches that are going to be recruiting with him. The DB coach that's in the high school seniors' ear being like, yo, come play cornerback for us, and he's really building that relationship. It's not like just the head coaches and DCs are recruiting, so I don't think that's going to be a huge issue either. Just got to see if he can perform on the field is really the biggest thing at this point.
I'd also like to add, it's better than returning Hutzler.
It is.
Most was better than returning Hutzler.
Agreed.
Yeah. Tucker made the point that he thinks if Arnett had spent the last 3 years as the UNLV head coach, this would be universally praised. I still think there'd be the tiny, 1 to 2% of people who all they think about is but he ruined our season in 2023.
I mean, you could make the best hire ever. There's going to be 1 or 2 people that are, no.
I think it might have been a little bit more universally praised, but I still think there's people going to be dog on it. My question, and we can have this discussion quickly if we want, bowl game. We're not going to preview the bowl game, but I wonder how we'll handle this because Arnett does not run the same system that Hutzler does. Doesn't run the same formations. That was a big deal. As Hutzler ran he put 3D linemen. Was pretty his standard approach.
That's Arnett's system.
Is it
3-3-5? He was a 3-3-5.
Okay, so I guess then the adjustment should be pretty simple. But I'll be interested to see how the defense looks.
Arnett's, as far as I understand it right now, Arnett is not going to call plays in the bowl game, but he will be coaching in some capacity. And I don't think, personally, I don't feel like you should just take defensive performance in that bowl game as gospel, as that is what it's going to be going forward. You shouldn't, because not the last time, but when we played Texas Tech in the Liberty Bowl, we didn't tackle all day. We could not tackle all freaking day. We come back next year and we won the Egg Bowl, and Arnett had a really, really good defense. So that defense is not a show point of what next year's defense is going to be.
Because you just have no
idea.
But
if it goes well, then it's
then it's only a positive.
Hype that up.
I think with the bowl game,
I was going to say, it's just glorified. You just get, not glorified, but you get all these extra reps, and who knows even he's going to be playing a bunch of young guys. People will have left for the portal. You're not going to have your whole team next year. You could bring in an amazing portal class, but they're not going to be playing in the bowl game. So, yeah, your defense may look terrible, but then, you don't have 5 starters because they just transferred in. So, or maybe Womack's going to start as a true freshman, and obviously he's not going to be out there. So, there really is, nothing but positive takeaway from getting into a bowl game, win or lose.
In terms of how we're going to take the bowl game, why aren't we going to take it with flying colors? Because what they have shown since losing the Egg Bowl is that we have taken everything with flying colors. And the biggest thing that aggravates me is they should be praised, and everybody should be praising what we did with the recruiting class, and now with hiring Zach Arnett and accepting the bowl invite. But where were you during the season? Like, let's not punt on the guy, and now we want to essentially
build a statue.
He's getting Kirko Chains edits.
Welcome to fandom.
That's my aggravation. Is those kinds of fans is where my aggravation lies. I think we're gonna take the bowl game with flying colors. Camario gets to have another showcase potentially, God willing, of course. And we're going to be on national stage. We're going to be at ESPN, 7 p.m. prime time.
Going up against good old Robbie Ashford.
The day after the college football playoff second round games. It's going to be on a Friday, so no NFL in the way, nothing in the way. It will be a primetime game on a Friday night. We have a chance to put on a show for anybody who wants to come here right before the portal opens. And so I have no reason to believe we're not going to take it with flying colors. If we lose the game, so be it. I still think everything will be fine. But I actually think everything is there to gain in winning it. Look, I'm going to hate it if it happens, Levy getting doused in mayo. I don't like that. I just hate mayo, personally.
It's disgusting. It's
terrible.
Disgusting.
It's
horrid.
I mean, I would hate being doused in it, but I love just a little bit on my sandwich.
No. What do you put on your sandwich? Your condiment of choice on sandwich? Any?
I don't. So I blame my parents for this, and sorry, Mom, as she listens to this. But I was allowed to, very early on, have plain cheeseburgers and plain everything. So now I hate any condiments. Sure. The only condiments I have is if I want to dip something in it. Like I'll dip my cheeseburger in ketchup every once in a while. But I don't have condiments. I do plain cheeseburgers.
Plain sandwich?
Plain sandwiches.
Okay. I do plain cheeseburgers, but plain sandwiches is diabolical.
At Subway, at Subway I don't do any. I do spinach and cucumbers, and that's it with the meat and the cheese.
I love spinach on a Subway sandwich. That's a good call.
That's all I do.
Huge mustard guy, personally. I love mustard on a sandwich, mustard on a burger.
I do,
anything like that. It's very, very good.
And the only thing I really love is barbecue sauce. But who doesn't love barbecue sauce living in the South? Pretty much everyone does.
Back to football.
I hate that Levy could get potentially doused in mayo. I don't like that visual, and I don't like where Rebel fans might take that visual as well. But I'm not going to continue on that point. But everything is there to gain because you'll be on that national stage. You'll be right there before the portal. 90% of people will actually love Levy being doused in mayo, our fan base, of course. And so what a glorious opportunity that we have been given.
No, we earned it.
I'll love it.
We earned it via academics.
It is...
and 7 people declining.
Yeah.
But
we could have... There's a couple 5 and 7 teams that didn't get offered a bowl.
Yeah.
One of them being Akron because their academics were so bad they were banned. But there were a couple others.
I will personally love it because it means he'll be 1-0 in bowl games. If he gets doused in mayo, it comes with the territory of being undefeated in bowl games.
But talk about like exposure. Him getting doused in mayonnaise, like that's gonna go everywhere.
Yeah.
Deuce Mayo's gonna post it.
And we already have the most, I believe, the most improved social media team in the country. So imagine what they're gonna do with that. They're gonna go crazy.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, there's just no reason to not take the bowl. The only people that shouldn't be taking bowl games, I guess, is if you have a new head coach and you're just like ready to move on. But it really is a good opportunity.
Which is what a lot of the teams that declined bowl games were doing.
Yes.
Getting into that talk, if you don't have the players for it as well,
sure. If
like last year with North Texas, if I'm not mistaken, Marshall.
North Texas did play because Drew Mestemaker, who was
you're right,
just out of high school and never started a high school game, played quarterback for them.
That's right. But Marshall.
Wait. But he was a freshman and now he's a sophomore, or he did it. He was an early enrollee.
He was an early enrollee, and they were like, "Yo, you're who we got."
Braylon Womack up next.
You can do that?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, think about when Nico was an early enrollee at Tennessee. He was out at their practices that 1 year.
Yeah, but did that count as his? So now is he a sophomore? Or is he a freshman?
It probably is a red shirt.
I don't know.
That's a good question.
It probably.
I don't know.
Maybe it's a red shirt.
So now,
maybe
he just finished his red shirt freshman season.
Maybe I don't know. That's a good question.
I don't know
off the top of my head.
Stuff like that never happens because what freshman's ready to roll that quickly?
Drew Mestemaker.
Last thing before we can move on, unless you have other big off-season things you want to talk about, we're getting towards Christmas time. You know what you do pre-Christmas. People are looking to get you gifts. You put together the wish list, of what you want. So y'all just throw a couple things on there. Y'all's state offseason wish list. Maybe biggest portal gets. I don't know, biggest development from players who you want to see step up. Build your wish list.
Well, this is hard because we've gotten pretty much everything we've wished for.
Yeah.
Not from football.
Fair.
Not football withstanding.
One guy on the team. I'll make it more specific.
Wait. We've gotten everything we've wished for except on
the field. We have not exactly got what we wished for.
Yeah.
But everything off the field, we have gotten what we wished for.
New DC.
And I would say we got most of what we wanted on the field. We got Kamari Taylor.
Eventually, yes.
We got 5 wins. Our win total was 3.5.
That's not what people were wishing for during the season.
But at the beginning of the season, preseason expectations.
I agree.
Preseason expectations.
I feel the exact same way.
Wishes also are a little bold. It's like y'all probably wish y'all won the Egg Bowl.
Yeah.
That didn't come to fruition.
Something that I have now noticed because the season ended, which I thought the season ended. And so I started a dynasty on College Football 26 with Mississippi State, and I wanted to see, okay, what could I do with this roster?
Oh, boy.
That's fire.
And I'd like to report I went 9-3, lost 3 SEC games.
Georgia, Texas.
Did you lose at A&M?
Georgia, Texas, and
you had to have lost at A&M.
Florida beat you.
I did lose at Florida.
Wow. Georgia,
Yes.
Texas, Florida.
I mean, Florida's talent roster in that game is probably still very good.
I won at Cobb Field. I won't lie.
Congrats.
I'm sorry.
It's not really that hard of a place to
I
win.
started
App
Kamario
State's done
Taylor
it.
the whole season, too. I did not start Chapin.
Yep.
But
He's probably, 93 overall after the Egg Bowl?
no, he's only an 86 right now, sophomore. I guess they turned
But
down
he
his
did-
development trade or something.
But he didn't start out as an 86.
No, he started like an 82.
That feels high for a freshman.
Well, they've put in a patch.
Yeah,
They
they've
did a
updated the
roster
rosters.
update. So he definitely was not an 82 when the game came out.
I'm impressed that he earned 82 in this. I mean, I don't know. That's continue.
He's really fast.
Yeah, what I
and
was
he's
getting
big,
at,
so.
one of the things I've noticed because of the way that I have used him, and clearly this is going to be potentially what occurs with him, how he was used in the damn Egg Bowl and during this season and the limited snaps he got, is my wish list and my wish for next year is that Kamario gets to start all 12 games because that has been a problem for Mississippi State quarterbacks. We have not had a healthy quarterback season in a long time. If I'm not mistaken, since we won the Egg Bowl with Will Rogers is the last time we had a quarterback start all 12 games. And
Wasn't Blake technically healthy for the start of every game this season?
But he got hurt during the games.
Yeah.
I'd add.
He got hurt in
And
the
he was-
one game. He got hurt in the Arkansas game and came back.
He was
His
also probably just not
feelings-
100%. His
feelings
were
also
hurt.
in the Egg Bowl, and that's why he didn't start, and that's why he got a haircut. But I'm wishing that Kamario gets to start 12 games, and so that would be wishing for him to protect himself, which I love the way he ran the Egg Bowl. It's a one-game season, nothing to lose, but that can't be the case going forward. And 2, get an offensive line, because when playing as the Mississippi State Bulldogs, the hits build up, and the wear and tear in that game is really good. And the hits build up enough that you have to sub in Chapin and lead a second half comeback.
You're not going Puckett?
No, I put Chapin in. It's only Chapin, Croman Hook, and Kamario are the 3 quarterbacks on the roster. So Chapin came in during, I forgot which game, and led a second half comeback.
That's elite.
But that is because Kamario's hits build up because I was using him the run game, and so my wish will be for Kamario to be healthy all year, and on top of that, I need good offensive line play, and I need him to protect himself.
Okay.
Yeah, you bought the console, and you also need all the accessories that go with it to make
Absolutely.
it functioning. Your top wish.
Top wish. I think I'm gonna go D-line.
Okay.
Offensive line is the 1A wish, but if you're gonna tell me I have to pick one wish, I'm gonna say D-line. That's for a lot of reasons. One of them is that's Mississippi State. D-line is what Mississippi State has been for as long as I've been alive. Even in the air raid offense era, we were still putting guys in the league on D-line, and that was never a Mike Leach strong suit. That was not his team, his personality. That's not what he built his coaching style on, was putting defensive linemen in the league. So State has always put defensive linemen in the league as long as I can remember, no matter who the coach was, no matter what the philosophy was, the coaching philosophy. And I'm not going to leave. I don't want to leave Kamari Taylor out there to dry, but if we put him out there behind another, bottom 30 offensive line in the league, I mean, he could probably make up for it. I mean, he kind of made this offensive line look. He made some crazy stuff happen.
He did make some crazy stuff happen.
I just think that defensive line is so impactful because that's what makes your secondary look better. When guys have 6 seconds to throw, it's hard to cover in the secondary for that long. So defensive line is my big wish. Offensive line is 1A. And then I think wide receiver development or just player development in general, because I'm a big high school recruits guy. I hate having to rely on the portal. Love when it works out. I love that it worked out for Brendan Thompson and Jerron Manning. Those 2 guys were huge contributors, but I hate having to rely on that. I would much rather recruit Mississippi kids or other kids out of high school, develop them, and then send them to the NFL in 3 or 4 years. I hope to do that with Kamari Taylor. I hope to do that with Braylon Womack. And there are other guys on the roster that I hope to see take a step forward with more opportunities this season. At wide receiver, at defensive line, secondary. We've got guys all over the field who I hope might turn into something. Because I don't want to be stuck in a few years and realize that Levy can't develop guys. He can recruit transfers, but he's never going to be able to develop beyond what he's got. He just kind of has what he gets in the portal and wins, 6 or maybe another number of games.
Yeah, maybe one more, 1 over 6.
I want to see guys develop. That's a big thing for me.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
Win a home game in SEC play.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
That's on the wish list.
I wish for another season of Kelly Jones in the maroon and white.
Ooh, that's a great wish. That's like asking for a very expensive Christmas present, I think.
Yeah.
I think you are.
I can dream big, though. It's my idea.
You can.
So.
That might have to be one of those joint presents where everyone gets together and gets a big present.
Yeah, so it's a collective wish.
It's a collective wish. Yeah, that's Santa and your parents and your grandparents all pooling together to get you one present.
Sure,
it's a good present though.
It's a pretty great present. And then last, I can just wish for a average defense.
Dude, an average defense would be fire. Are you gonna be a state fan next year?
Huh?
Are you gonna be a state fan next year?
No.
You're gonna be graduated. That's my point. Is are you gonna care? Because you're gonna be graduated. You don't.
I'll
go to school
watch
here.
Still.
Yeah, but you don't go to school here anymore.
I'll be in Jackson.
He'll have to talk about it.
I'll have to talk about it.
True.
I'm friends with all of y'all. It's nice to stay in the know.
Yeah.
It's hard to. It's hard to celebrate with y'all. Obviously, if I don't participate, and it is fun to celebrate with y'all. But also, I can't heckle if I don't watch and don't participate because I can't be I'm not an educated heckler at that point.
Yeah.
It's hard to throw jests.
Then you just look foolish.
Correct. Yeah. Oh, Kamara had a bad game.
You're no better than the guys on Twitter.
Correct. But at least I'm not pretending that I'm a diehard State fan while doing it. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Shall we get into the game breakdowns?
Yes.
Cool. Let's do it.
Let me. I think no, this is not in the order because we're not doing American.
Correct.
So it starts.
BYU was the morning.
Thank you, and then Georgia, Alabama, Duke, UVA, and finally Indiana, Ohio State. And is that it? Is that all we're doing today? Oh, and then we're going to review the stock market. We're going to take a quick look back.
We'll peek at the stock market.
I'm going to just move that back up. And
Good call.
Because I knew there was something and I just forgot what it was. Okay, let's dive into BYU at Texas Tech.
I'm pulling it up real quick.
You good?
My apologies. Why is it trying to show me the regular season game? That's genius. Okay, here we go, finally. BYU and Texas Tech faced off in Jerry World for the Big 12 championship, and it went fairly similar to the regular season matchup in terms of just overarching things. BYU struggled to score. They ended up with only 7 points. BYU did a great job of holding Texas Tech to field goals. I was wrong on that. But regardless, since they only scored 7 points, that didn't matter. And as well as the regular season game, BYU massively lost the turnover battle. Turned the ball over 4 times in this game. Texas Tech did not turn the ball over. And because of those factors, Texas Tech cruises to win here again. They win 34-7. Y'all's thoughts on this game?
Yeah. I can't wait to hear JP. I'm interested to see how.
I can go ahead.
He's got a spiel.
You got a spiel. You gonna go because I want to hear what you have to say before I say anything. So I'll let you go and give your spiel.
Look, I'll start off by saying this is not a. I don't want this to be a spiel.
Okay.
I want this to be me admitting something and trying to make a case for something that I saw, and that's about it. That's about it. I actually expect you guys to not disagree with me here.
Okay.
With the way that I have phrased,
let's see how good his phrasing
yesterday.
is. Let's see how good his phrasing
is. So I will start off with an
admission.
Admission. That's the way to say it, not an admittance, because that is like if you got like admitted into a school.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I'll be the first to admit that they were outclassed again, BYU, that is, my BYU Cougars, as it was shown yesterday. But I do feel like there were pieces that were there this time for BYU to pull it off, and these are the pieces. BYU's defense was ready. They played their tails off. I was told the field goals wouldn't be there this time. They were more attempted than last time, and there were 5 field goals attempted last time. 6 field goals attempted by Texas Tech in this game. So, look, we got that part right at least. That attempting field goals, I get it. You can say that there are points left out there. But also, some defenses are really good at doing that. Ohio State is one of those defenses that is really, really good at doing that. And they forced Indiana to kick field goals in the first half. They forced Michigan to kick field goals in the first half as well. And that is, I feel like, no different than what BYU has done through 2 games against Texas Tech. They forced them to kick field goals. And whether or not they were in the red zone or not, like if they picked up a first down, well, then they're more likely to be forced into a field goal because they're less likely to pick up the next first down because they picked up the last first down, which is not how that works. But that is how you should think about it in the gambling world. If it was tails 7 times in a row, it's heads next year. If talking about the Super Bowl. And look, BYU, to start the game, was there offensively as well. They go 14 plays, 90 yards against that Texas Tech defense for a touchdown, but Bear rolls his ankle really bad on the second to last play where he picks up 1 yard before the LJ Martin touchdown run. The dude could barely walk. He reached full speed once on camera the rest of the day when he ran out from the sideline to the huddle to start the second half. That was the only time I ever saw him reach anywhere close to full speed. And he clearly showed that he could not throw the ball as well with the way that he played for the rest of that game. When Bear was healthy in that drive, which was a disagreement we had yesterday, he had the 10-yard scramble on a 3rd and 4, keyword 3rd and 4. He picked up a first down. On that play, he outruns J-Rod and Roberts, the Mustache Bros, the linebackers. He outruns them for the first down when he's healthy. And they also had a 1-yard carry on a 3rd and 1 for a first down. 2 third down conversions with Bear Bachmeier and his legs on that first drive. Bear could not run for the rest of the game. He could barely throw. Something Jesse Palmer was talking about. And look, he played quarterback for Florida, and he was a very, very good quarterback, and he obviously knows more than what I'm talking about. But to be honest, I disagree with the way that he discussed Bear's injury, just because it was his left foot, which the point Jesse was making is Bear, left foot hurt. That is not his arch, his main foot that he throws off of. And so therefore he should not be affected from a velocity standpoint, and that shouldn't affect the way that he throws the football in the game. I disagree, because I think of it as when you go to throw, you push off that right foot and land on that left foot. And so when you are going to throw, you are anticipating pain as you put that foot down, and that changes the way that you throw the football. And I thought Bear did he showed that with the way that he was throwing the football. He was kind of like throwing it like this, like just he was clearly in pain as he was throwing the football. The left foot, his plant foot was heavily impacted, and so he lost a lot of tempo to his throw. And when you lose your tempo because you are you're anticipating the pain, you're unable to anticipate with your throwing because you can't just throw freely. You have to throw, I'm about to feel pain, that slows my motion down. And so I thought that limited the way Bear could throw the football, thus limiting their offense. They also could then only run the football with L.J. Martin, and the throw game could only be short concepts because that's all Bear could do. It's really hard to throw deep down the field unless it's a one-on-one deep shot. And with the lack of mobility that he had, one-on-one deep shots and deep concepts are dangerous because if it's not there, it's a sack. He is not scrambling away. He's not even going to have the ability to get out of the pocket and throw the football away. And so with all of that, I thought they were missing a lot offensively with Bear's injury, and I thought the pieces were there. That being said, does Bear still have to play better when he's hurt? Hell yeah, of course he is. Heck yeah, as BYU would say.
HE double hockey sticks, yeah.
As a special teams coordinator said during the game, after they had what is my next point, does that excuse the awful fake punt? No, not at all. It doesn't excuse that decision because that decision was terrible. It was almost as bad as Kirby Smart's decision late in the fourth quarter of an SEC championship on 4th and 11 to try and run it with Justin Fields. Does that excuse all the turnovers that they lost, the fumbles, the picks? Absolutely not. And so what I mainly was trying to get at yesterday, and I apparently failed in articulating that, I know the pieces were right there in front of them, and with the way that they started the game offensively with Bear and that healthy drive, and I get it, it's a scripted drive, and I agree with you there. I don't think they were going to score 49 points. I did think they would have got to 21 points, and their offense, had they not turned the ball over as much, maybe could hold Texas Tech to 20, 17. And so I thought the pieces were there not for BYU to guaranteed outright win, but have a chance to win. Yeah. And I think that is mainly what I was getting at with Bear's injury, that them losing him and that portion of their offense significantly hindered their ability to move the football, and they were going to have to pitch a shutout defensively.
Sure.
And when you turn the ball over as much as you do, you can't do that. So that is largely what I'm upset about with how that game went for BYU, because that is not what I expected. I didn't expect Bear to get hurt after the first drive, and because of that, it throws off everything.
Yeah.
I know I'm wrong still at the end of the day for picking BYU to win and cover, of course, and I am wrong that the game went the exact same way, essentially. They were outclassed again, but I do feel like the pieces were there, and that is what I predicted, that the pieces were going to be there and they were going to execute on said pieces.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have the Texas Tech winning by 27 either. I see what you mean by the pieces are there. I think my thing is Texas Tech has all the defensive pieces and then more to still shut it down. Bear getting hurt definitely took away whatever chance BYU had. I think we would very much disagree on how big the chance was with them healthy or not. But just if you have a limited quarterback, that front is just going to wreak havoc, and they did.
I think with the opening two drives, the way I felt is they turned a 12-point spread into a 50-50, a pick 'em, with the way that they started that game. That's how I felt.
I would have felt still like probably maybe 20-25% chance BYU wins because I just anticipated adjustments from that defense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
I will say BYU did impress me. I mean, the opening drive touchdown with the healthy Bear, after getting down 26-0 in the first game to go out and take the lead, that kind of had me. You know the meme about like the guy leaning back in his chair playing video games and he like leans forward. I was rooting for BYU, so that wasn't like me locking into Texas Tech, but it was like locking in like, whoa, that was not expected. And then I think they get the stop. So yeah, it definitely started in exactly how BYU needed it to start. Yeah, I mean Texas Tech punts, field goal, touchdown. It's 10-7, and then I think you're in the second quarter at that point, down 10-7, and it felt like BYU had a chance. They didn't do all the luck that we talked about. They did not have luck on their side. The 4 turnovers, and I'm not saying that those were all luck. A lot of those were Texas Tech.
They're making plays.
Texas Tech making plays. I'm not saying that. Not trying to take away from that Texas Tech, but nothing really bounced BYU's way. And so they were having to force some things and deal with the hurt quarterback. It was just like the hurricane of worst case scenarios.
Yeah.
For BYU. But Texas Tech was responsible for a lot of the worst case scenario. Texas Tech is a really good football team.
Absolutely.
And so I think that's kind of why one of the reasons I was not going to pick BYU to win this game is because I just expected Texas Tech to create a worst case scenario for BYU, and they did. And BYU, tried to do the best they could. They go up 7-0, but they really was just. That's what happens when you play a really good football team against a good football team.
I think one of the pushbacks I got on the Bear Bachmeier stuff and the healthy stuff not mattering is, but he was healthy the entire first game. Personally, I think you throw out the entire first game. I think
that's also what his 7th game as a starter.
It was
something like that.
I think when you consider the moment as well, I went back and I looked at my show notes for it, and the way I felt coming into that game, it was okay. First of all, it's the first time game day was in Lubbock since 2008 when number 1 Texas lost to Texas Tech in that game with Mike Leach as the head coach and Mac Brown on the other sideline for Texas. So that was huge emotion as a part of that game. It's on ABC. It's prime time. It's a noon kickoff, and that is what, as the season went on, it became even more evident. A huge problem for BYU is starting fast in games. They got down by double digits in multiple games, and multiple of them were noon kickoffs. The UCF game at the end of the year, they're down 17-7, and then they turned it on after that. They finally got going after that. I personally think, given the way that game went, it was not how this game was going until Bear eventually got hurt, and then Texas Tech turned it around. BYU had a 3-and-out on their first possession. They forced a 3-and-out. They get the ball back. They muffed the damn punt. And they turned that around by having a big stop, I would argue, as Texas Tech was getting into BYU territory on their first drive and then went down the field and scored a touchdown. I personally, you throw that game out for me because you make adjustments from that game. Did Ty Simpson have the same day against Georgia that he did the first time?
Nope.
Hell no. Okay, so people make adjustments. And that is why I think you have to throw out that first game just because he was healthy. I think of the standpoint at that point, the season for both of those teams and that game in general as well. BYU, I even wrote it in my notes as well. It felt like with the college football playoff rankings that came out the Tuesday before that game, I wrote, man, wow, BYU can lose and honestly still make the playoff, losing the Big 12 title game to Texas Tech again. That is how I felt at that point in the season, and that was in large part to where Utah was ranked. And so I don't think they had the pressure on them in that game, and they laid an egg. This time I thought everything was right there. Everything emotionally was right there, ready for them. And unfortunately, they couldn't capitalize. And I think in large part for me, it is because Bear was hurt.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Bear gets hurt, so you never know what's going to happen. I just feel like with the first game, and the reason I don't throw it out is because it wasn't just a Bear thing. I saw a Tech defense that dominated that BYU offensive line, that had no issue covering BYU's receivers. And so, sure, BYU can make adjustments, but it's not like Tech can make adjustments. I just kind of saw a talent and physicality discrepancy that wasn't going to be made up.
And final thing on
game.
Fair. Final thing on BYU, I also hate the people that are saying like they're fraudulent and everything.
Yeah.
They had an incredible season.
Sure.
And one thing I talked about coming into this game was it is crazy to think that they have clearly shown that they now have the kind of caliber of players to even match up with the roster like Texas Tech. The fact that they are in the top 20 of the JP poll is astounding. That's a huge statement for BYU. The fact that they could put together the money to retain Kalani Sitake from going to Penn State is insane. The program is going in a great direction, and I can't wait to see how it goes. And who knows, but at this point, their 2 losses are to the number 4 team in the country, one on the road, and one you could even argue might be on the road because it was played in Texas as well.
Yeah.
Texas Tech and we'll get into this, has the opportunity to potentially win a national championship, and maybe you lost to the national champion twice. No different than how, now I'm not predicting this, but Indiana last year, maybe they were fraudulent, but they lost to Ohio State and Notre Dame on the road as their 2 losses that year. Those 2 teams played in the national championship. Yeah. Maybe that's the same case for BYU this year.
Sure. It's one of the things, kind of one of the worst things about college football is just with how many teams there are and how few games they're played, there's just some questions that can't really be answered. Mm-hmm. Because legitimately BYU could be the 7th best team in the country and Texas Tech is just that good. Or BYU could be like the 15th, 16th best team in the country. It's hard to know because the sample size isn't there and there's so many teams. But yeah, that's fair. Last question I want to ask before we move on. Yeah, I'll go and ask it because I prefaced it. Baron Morton, solid day, plays pretty well.
Yeah.
But still just kind of feel like he's going to be what holds them back if they lose early in the playoffs or can't make a run. Just because that defense is legitimately so good. They're not just good straight up, but they're good at creating the havoc plays, forcing turnovers, getting sacks, making the offense waste plays, some would say. And they got good weapons there in the running back room and out wide. So it just kind of really feels like Baron Morton is the guy that it's like all eyes are on him. Can he deliver?
It will 100% be the case. I wanted to give all that BYU stuff because our fans deserve that. Thank you to all the BYU fans that listen.
Great season. They were supposed to win 7 games.
Yes. This is actually this is what should be the talking point, is Texas Tech and Morton, the quarterback.
Yeah.
That should be the talking point because this is what I wrote as my note, as how I felt after the game. If Morton has a clean day, Texas Tech can and will beat anyone. They will beat anyone in the country, and I feel that even more so with the way Indiana looked against Ohio State, which we'll get into when we break down that game. There's a formula to beat Ohio State, which is going to be necessary. Otherwise, Ohio State's going to win it all again. They can produce that formula. They have 2 backs that run the ball so well, like so well. Now, Jacoby Williams protect the football, but Cameron Dickey, that dude he's just a great running back. He's not the fastest, he's not the biggest, he's not the strongest, but he knows how to find the hole, and he picks up 5 or 6 yards every single time, it feels like. When he's
always falls forward.
Always falls forward. That's a great one to put as well for him. And then for Jacoby Williams, he's so electrically fast, and it feels like he could have had a few touchdowns yesterday that he didn't. And then with their weapons as well, Virgil Eakin, who's great over the top and has been a vertical threat all year, and then Caleb Douglas is just such a physical threat. And then I think, for me, honestly, I think they have one of the best, if not the best tight end in the country in Terrence Carter Jr., just from a physical capability standpoint. And then their defense is just unbelievable. That's an SEC defense, just wearing Texas Tech uniforms. Their defensive line play is unbelievable. It is top-notch. And then they have the second-best linebacker crew in the country, and you could plausibly make an argument that they're better than Ohio State's linebackers.
From a productivity standpoint, yeah.
You could 100% have an ability to make that take with Jacob Rodriguez and what's his name? Ben Roberts, yes. The Mustache Bros. You could very easily make an argument that those 2 guys are better than Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese. And then they have good enough defensive back play with Bryce Pollock. Shout out Bryce Pollock. They have 12 wins by 20-plus points this year. They dominate teams. So I think 2 questions for them in the playoff will be, if Morton doesn't have a clean day, which, bro, he could have thrown 5 picks, honestly, in that game on Saturday in the Big 12 title game, and he could have thrown more picks this year as well. That will immediately change everything, because if they're not able to force turnovers as well and they lose the turnover battle, it's usually a good formula for losing games. And then 2 will be, how are they going to play when they get down? How are they going to play when they are forced to make a comeback? They showed at least some competitive character when they were down 7-0 to BYU, the way the game started. But also BYU handed them a lot of those plays. I'd argue they made a few good plays.
Being down first quarter is also different than being down second half, fourth quarter.
Being forced to make a game-winning drive. I talk about that a ton. They're going to have to do that if they're going to win 3 playoff games and win the national championship, they're going to have some kind of fourth quarter comeback for that to be the case, because they're not that physically dominating like an Ohio State to where they could just never be in that spot.
Sure.
So those are the two things for Texas Tech going forward. But I do think if Morton has a clean day, they can and will beat anybody.
Yeah, I think that's very fair.
I think that's a very fair takeaway, that he is kind of the key to the Red Raiders. Shout out CT.
Yeah, he's the swing player. Anything you want to add before we move on, Sanders?
Cool. I mean, no, I was just going to say that just thinking back to like last year's championship, it was Riley Leonard versus Will Howard. Neither of those, I mean, they were both productive college quarterbacks, but those were two guys that were carried by great defenses and a great running back for Notre Dame. So it's very much like, it's not like the NFL, or at least recent sample size last season. I'm just going to take that, and you could go back and look at, I guess, Joe Burrow won a championship. But I mean, Mac Jones a championship in 2020. So college football, you don't have to have the top 5 quarterback. It feels like you have to have in the NFL, because you can be carried by a great defense and a great run game, and that's something that Texas Tech has. So I like what you said. Like, Texas Tech absolutely can win a national championship.
I think that's why clean is the best way to put it. He just has to play a clean game. He doesn't have to knock the socks off
because that's
anybody.
what Will Howard and Riley Leonard would do, is they'd play clean. Occasionally, Riley Leonard might go out there and scramble for a first down on 3rd and 6.
That's the big thing with the two guys that made that run to the national championship, is they played clean, yes, but they also had big-time plays throughout the
when
playoff.
They needed one.
When they needed to have something.
Sure.
Will Howard was phenomenal at throwing the football down the field through those 4 games, and then Riley Leonard was phenomenal at just being like Max Duggan and just, you're not stopping me. I'm getting in this end zone.
Yeah.
When they're inside the goal line. So Morton's going to have something like that as well, I'd argue. Now it's a lesser sample size. Both of those teams had to play 4 games. Texas Tech, with the first round bye, is only going to have to play 3, and so maybe to Sanders' point, they don't have to, and they can just be carried. But I do think Morton's going to have some of those kinds of plays, and they talked about that a ton on the broadcast, that he is, I don't know his story, but apparently he's got a great story, and he's a very competitively driven kid, and he's been through a lot, which I'm sure we'll get that story at some point.
Oh, definitely. And he also has been banged up, so maybe as he gets healthier, he'd play level. His level of play ticks up.
Yeah, they also reported this was the first week of practice where he actually got to have full-time reps in a month and a half. He had been in a boot
for a long
the
time.
week. He would be in a boot the whole week and play that Saturday.
That's crazy.
For the past month and a half.
It is nuts. That is bonkers. Talk about the competitive spirit. That shows it right there.
Yeah.
Let's get on to the SEC championship game. It was hyped up a ton. Another Georgia-Alabama chapter. There's been so many in recent years. Bama, they already played this year. Bama beat Georgia in Georgia. The hype is building. The hype is building. The hype is building. And Georgia kind of sucks the air out of that building, or at least the air out of my living room, I guess, in terms of excitement. There's a lot of Georgia fans in the building, so the building actually had a lot of excitement. But they just physically dominated Bama. -3 rushing yards for Bama. Bama struggled to find anything through the air. And then offensively, they were physical up front, ran the ball just enough to be serviceable, and then, let your boy Gunnar Stockton make some plays, and they ended up winning 28-7. It just never really felt that close. Thoughts on this game?
JP, was this the game you've been predicting all season, of Georgia just out physicaling a team, and -3 rush yards is what I've got, to 141 rush yards? Was this the game? Did it take 13 games for Kirby Smart to play his card of, I'm just going to out physical you because we're bigger than you are?
They haven't had this kind of performance, and so yes, maybe you could say this was the game, but I feel like they've had, for the past month or so, these kinds of games.
The defense just playing so well right now.
Since they came to Starkville, which apparently coming to Starkville is a big deal because it turns your season around.
Yeah.
It did for Texas, and it did for Georgia. They have played phenomenal defensively since they played in Starkville and had to play that Blake Shapen offense. I do think maybe you could characterize this as the game. I would argue the Texas game felt more demoralizing, and that felt more like the last year's Texas game. This one, you still kind of had some kind of feeling that because of this history and this rivalry, that Bama has some kind of comeback in them. And then with the way the second half starts, It was over.
Yeah.
The padlock stats, Bama, like you said, had -3 rushing yards. One of the things I talk about in this series is it's every single game, the team that has won, it has been quarterback play. And it has not just been, the quarterback has played slightly better, it's been a duel. No, every single time it has been like elite quarterback play versus bad quarterback play.
Yep.
If you go throughout the entire history. And Gunnar Stockton was 3 touchdowns, no picks, no turnovers. Ty Simpson, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Gunnar Stockton wins the quarterback battle. Padlock
Don't
stat.
forget Simpson completed under 50% of his passes.
Also true. Georgia won the time of possession. That was a big key for me in this game. And my prediction it was Dogs win time of possession. They win. Gunnar Stockton outplays Ty Simpson. 2 for 2. We'll take it. And on the preseason prediction for Georgia. Georgia won the time of possession 37-23. That's a 14-minute advantage. They had only lost the time of possession once this season. Coincidentally, you may say, but I would argue the main reason, they lost the time of possession to Bama. That was why they lost that game. They win it by 14 here. And then the other one, average starting field position. Bama, their own 17. And they never had a drive that started past their own 25, meaning if the ball's a touchback, that is the best possible field possession you can get. They never had a drive past that. They never had less than 75 yards to go for a touchdown in this game. Georgia, on the other hand, their average starting field position was the 40-yard line, their own 40-yard line. Georgia, when given the opportunity, will seize the momentum every time they talk. We've talked about, everyone talks about cutting the head off the snake with Georgia. In this game, it's just like the momentum plays are just massive, and they swing towards Georgia entirely. The blocked punt, touchdown right after. Interception on the very next drive for Ty Simpson, touchdown, Georgia. 3 and out to start the second half when you think, maybe Bama could make something happen here in the second half. They get the ball first, 3 and out. Georgia goes right back down the field, touchdown. And then a turnover on downs by Bama late, and Georgia scores a touchdown. They are so demoralizing to play against, and I can't imagine for people that have to watch games that they're playing Georgia, because they just pick apart every single team that they play. They're playing with an unbelievable fire defensively, and they had another one of those tantalizing drives, 14 plays, 57 yards, over more than half a quarter, 7 minutes and 44 seconds, touchdown. Oh, and by the way, this is after Ty Simpson throws a pick. So you think, you throw a pick, I want to get back up there as soon as possible.
Not going to happen.
It didn't work for Joe Burrow today in Buffalo. He got back out there as soon as possible and threw a pick on the next play. But most of the time, you want to get back out there the very next play if possible, so you can get that out of your brain immediately. No, he has to sit there for 7 minutes and 44 seconds of game time, which in reality is almost 20 minutes, give or take, before he gets to go back out there and lead a drive. And, of course, it doesn't go well. Georgia, they were dominant. They were my SEC championship pick to start the season, and, man, they made me some good money yesterday. I got them at plus 650 during our drive to the A&M game. They were not in control of their own destiny to win the SEC at that point, and that paid off well. So
congrats, because also I want to shake your hand real quick. I think, if I'm remembering back correctly, out of all the Power 4 conferences, you're the only one to correctly predict a champion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of the Power 4 ones, yes. I also predicted Boise State to win the Mountain West, I'd like to say.
I believe we all had JMU winning the Sun Belt,
yes.
So congrats to us. I don't know who won Conference USA.
KSU won it, but I don't.
That's right, they did. I did not. I had Western Kentucky winning.
I know. I didn't predict KSU.
Liberty probably.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. That's what I probably had.
But yeah, because I think I had Ohio State winning the Big Ten, and y'all had Penn State.
Penn State.
I think we were clean sweep on Clemson.
Yes.
I had Bama winning the SEC. I don't remember who you had. You could have had Georgia, but I don't think you did.
I don't think so either. I can pull it up.
I had TCU winning the Big 12, and I don't think either of y'all had Texas
winning?
Tech.
Maybe I did, but I do not remember. Wait, which sheet was that in?
It was on the college football sheet.
Yeah, just this one straight up.
And I don't know if we put our actual predictions or anything in here. So
no, I think we do. We did have because we had an overarching preview show where we did it all.
Where was that?
That was not in that sheet. Then.
It was not on that sheet.
That would have been in the top 25 sheet. No.
Hold on, I think I saw that page recently.
I'm pretty sure it was.
It's
in the
around
top
here
25
somewhere. It's around here somewhere.
I'm with our preseason predictions. I'm very confident it was in the top 25 sheet before it became the website.
Okay.
I don't see it unless it's already.
Top 25 sheet.
I'm not seeing it either.
I specifically remember because we did superlatives too.
Yes.
Let's keep talking and then I'll try and find it so we can keep this
It
going.
also got posted on Twitter, I'm sure.
True.
But yeah, I think nothing happened. Nothing went right for Bama this game.
Mm-mm.
Ty Simpson played terribly. You talked about QB play being a big issue. You couldn't run the ball. Not that that's that surprising. Your defense didn't hold up as well as you maybe would like, though. I think they gave good effort, fine effort. And then you didn't win any momentum plays. So it's not even the offense and defense really struggled, but when we needed a play, we got it. You didn't have that at all. Special teams, you lost that battle. You lose the turnover battle. It was just all bad. And so that's how you kind of get dominated.
You had Georgia Sanders.
So congrats. I'll shake your hand in, too. I apologize.
Appreciate
I wasn't trying to.
I didn't make any money, though, so I think JP deserves more of the handshake.
That's fair. Valid. For Ty Simpson, I'm curious to get y'all's take on kind of his downturn. Do y'all think it's tougher defenses he's playing? For me, I think a lot of it's he's had to shoulder so much and the cracks are starting to show and it's starting to wear on him mentally and maybe even physically some as well as he's taken more hits. And then that's like a positive feedback loop of oh man, so much is on me and I'm not delivering, so now I got to press even harder to deliver. And it's just leading to some forces. He's always sometimes had just misses as a thrower, and some of those have just turned into picks and stuff like that. But yeah, your thoughts on his performance recently and why he started playing worse?
Well, a big thing, unless you want to...
I was going to say, I think not having a run game. I think that's a huge part of every offense is when a defense doesn't have to respect the run game and they can... Because Ty Simpson has shown that he's a good quarterback when given opportunity to succeed, right? Offensive line that gives him time, wide receivers that are playing well and not dropping balls, and also if the defense
Shout out
isn't...
Ryan Williams.
Yeah, Ryan, yeah. Subtle dig, but if the defense isn't having to plan for that or play if they are able to primarily focus on the pass game and they don't have to respect the run, that just makes it harder. So I think that's a big part of it is not having a run game to complement the pass game.
And then they also come into this game and you don't have your two top running backs, and so you have to rely on Daniel Hill, who's essentially a freshman, and A.K. Deer, which means when that occurs, it's almost impossible to throw to them out of the backfield because you just don't have those reps, one.
Yeah, there's some drops.
Two, it is hard to find them as well because they're not in the right place a ton of the time, because when you have them in the run or you have them in the pass game, they have to be good in the pass pro game too. And when you're young, you're just not good in the pass pro game. That's why a lot of veterans are pass pros in the NFL. And then when they mess up the pass pro, it's hard to find them, or you just get sacked because they mess it up.
Yeah.
I think that was a large part to it. But also, this isn't – they haven't had a run game all season. And they've had it in a few games, especially in the Auburn game, they ran the football. But Simpson at the same time this has been put on him all season. In the first game, one of your notes from the Georgia-Bama game was – pass protection was great. Simpson was pressured just 8 times in the game. He was sacked just once in that game. In this SEC championship, he was pressured twice as much, 15, and he was sacked 3 times as much, 3 times. Simpson, though, when clean, in this game, when clean, not pressured, was 14 for 27 for 136 yards. He threw the touchdown, but he also threw a pick. 14 for 27, though, when clean. That's not as great. And it's not like this has just been one game. It's been a trend now since November started with the bad game against LSU where he was fine and he was fine from a stats standpoint, but he was missing deep shots barely, just past their outstretched arms. He has a really bad game, I'd argue, against OU. He has 2 picks in the FCS game, one of which was on a Hail Mary, so it doesn't necessarily count against Eastern Illinois, but he had a pick against Eastern Illinois. And then he was really inefficient against Auburn, but he made the necessary plays when needed, especially on the 4th downs, and that's why he earned the right to start in the SEC championship. But it's another bad day against Georgia, so I think it is kind of a trend at this point. I also would ask 2 questions. Why should you expect things to change going forward? So it's really hard to defend him for this one game. And then on top of that, why would you expect things to change against OU on the road, standalone night playoff game, probably going to be cold weather, harder to throw the football? Why would you then expect it to change for Ty Simpson? And so then it's, again, harder to defend that going forward. I'll go ahead and say he deserves and should start in that game.
100%.
But it is, I understand how some Bama fans feel the way that they do. Now they're all delusional because they're all brainwashed.
Yeah.
And spoiled.
Spoiled's the best word for it, straight up.
But it's not just one game at this point. It's been since November started.
It's a trend. To answer your questions, I think you hope that he's really not been crazy efficient a lot this season, even earlier in this season. Now, he did have some really efficient games. I think he threw 2 incomplete passes against Wisconsin, for example. But he's really good at making the plays when they matter the most. And so you hope he kind of gets back to that. Because like you said in the Auburn game, he made plays when it mattered the most. Kind of in the LSU game as well. He made throws on 3rd down when it mattered the most. And then you also just tell yourself that, hey, if we can just get healthier, because we've been really banged up. Maybe he gets healthier. Jeremy Bernard gets healthier, his best target from earlier in the season. Cuevas gets back, his security blanket. He gets healthy. The O-line gets healthier. The running backs are back. And you convince yourself, though I'm not convinced of this, that that's the entire problem. The offense is going to get back to playing a lot better at OU, which is a brutal task. But I think that's kind of where you go with that is, hey, trust in Ty because he's done it before. I know it's not been great, and you just hope he can turn it around and the rest helps him. And then just the team gets healthier.
Fair points. I can't wait for that game. I cannot wait. It's such a huge storyline.
The last thing, because I want to circle back around to it, and it's not all out of order, but the receivers didn't help him at all either, talking about Ty Simpson. And the running backs, dropping passes. Ryan Williams is just such an interesting study because they talk about how they want to get him more involved. And they get him involved in kind of like a little swing pass, and then another little short pass, and you see how electric he is in the open field. Just unreal burst, wiggle, can break tackles really well for a guy of his size and stature. And it's I'm thinking to myself, man, what have we been doing? We have to be feeding this guy the ball more. Yeah. And then you throw him a ball down the field, and he goes up to catch it, and it's just he's nowhere close to making the catch. It basically hits him in the chest. His hands are all wrong. He gets nowhere close to catching it, and it's oh, so that's kind of where you're at. We'd love to get this guy the ball, but it's hard to get a guy that can't really catch the ball very well.
Yeah, make him running back. I think that's a confidence thing. I didn't see all the drops, but I imagine some of that is you get in your head and you start you trying to start thinking about well, where is the ball? All right, I need to be here. And you start thinking way too much, and you just need to go play football.
At some point, though, if it's a season long of a confidence thing, until he'll start making these catches.
Yeah, he hasn't learned or he hasn't forgot how to catch a football. You don't play wide receiver at Bama if you don't know how to catch a football. But it is, I think, I agree with Sanders, a confidence thing. I would equate it to basketball to I was a great free throw shooter all of my high school career. I still could be if I were playing basketball right now. I was roughly an 86% free throw shooter. I'd shoot 100 free throws, and I'd make 86 almost any day during practice. But 2 of my worst moments in my basketball career were at the free throw line when in 2nd grade I get fouled as time expires, and I go to the foul line, and I have 2 shots, one to tie, one to win, and I miss both. and we lose 3-2, and we go 0-10 on the season because that was the final game of the season and I lost it. From that point forward, though, I vowed to never miss free throws ever again. And so I got really damn good at shooting free throws. And so Ryan just has to do that going forward of go out there and catch 200,000 balls from the jug machine. Go get your confidence back. Get with Ty during these 2 weeks and say, hey, we're going to throw one-on-one, or not one-on-one, with each other every single day for an hour. I don't care what it takes. If we're going to win a national championship, I'm needed out there, and I need to be productive because that's who I am, and that is what I can be for this team.
That's a good point.
And so we have to get our confidence back with each other. I can tell you from being a point guard in basketball, when your center doesn't catch 3 open passes for a wide-open layup, you stop passing to him. When your center catches the passes, but then he misses the layup, you stop passing to him. There were moments I can remember in my basketball career where I told my dad, like, I'm not going to make up a name because I don't want to use his actual name because I remember his name very well. But let's say Dylan. Dylan's never open, even when he's wide open, because he just won't catch the ball and he won't make the layup. And that is how Ryan is right now at this point, I would imagine, for Ty. So you got to get that confidence back and build that going forward.
Yeah. I think it's a good point.
I will ask you this. Do y'all know how many drops he had last year?
Probably the same as this year.
He had 7 last year, and that was through the regular season and a bowl game. He's got 9 this year through the regular season and the conference championship game.
Outside of the Georgia game, he was not great.
That's exactly what I said in the preview show is maybe this is just who Ryan Williams is, because last year he had 2 100-yard receiving games. He had Western Kentucky, the season opener, 17-year-old kid, first game as a freshman, 2 touchdowns. Then the Georgia game, he goes for 177 and a touchdown. And then he only totals, I think, 3 receiving touchdowns in SEC play last year.
He got robbed of one, I will say.
This
he made
year,
a fantastic catch against South Carolina, I believe.
He finishes with 2 receiving touchdowns in SEC play.
It's a very good point.
I think Ryan Williams might just be a very flashy kid who, if you can get him the ball in open field, might be able to do something, but I don't know if he's a wide receiver 1.
That's how a lot of receivers are at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like, they don't have that in their blood.
Yeah.
Last thing, then we move on. For Georgia, I have to think they're like a lock to go to the semifinal at this point. You get the winner of Tulane or Ole Miss in round 2. And then I feel like you have to feel confident about your semifinal. Are we laughing that they are a lock?
No, Jack just
I got chills really bad, and he's laughing at me.
Oh, okay.
So sorry to throw you off.
He did a little shimmy.
Okay, just making sure we weren't laughing at the idea that
I agree
they
with you
will
completely.
beat Ole Miss. But after that, I think in the semifinal, they're in a tremendous advantage. I think they're in the best spot out of any team in the bracket. They will then get to play the winner of a war, which I think is going to be a war. Because if it's A&M Ohio State, I do think with the way Indiana played, A&M has the capability to do something similar, and I think that's going to be a war. And if Miami has beaten A&M, assuming Marcel doesn't pull a Marcel Reed, then I think Miami is like, they have the playmakers that it could be a war with Ohio State as well. And so I think you get to that January 8th game, and Georgia hasn't really had to push the gas pedal all the way down. And something Kirby talked about in his postgame press conference, they're healthier, they are less bruised and battered going into that game, and it then becomes an advantage. And so I think they have the best spot out of any of the teams in the bracket, I would argue, personally. And I think you have to think about them being in Miami on January 19th at this point if they handle their business.
If I'm Ohio State and I get to play Carson Beck, and that if the Ohio State defense gets Carson Beck, I'm licking my chops.
Well, if their Miami defense comes to play against Julian Sand and you can hold them to 17 points, you need a turnover from Sand that turns into 3, which apparently is a guarantee for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then you need 2 cap busters. You need Malachi Toney to just hit 2 bombs for 17
Maybe he
points.
just throws one of the bombs.
Exactly. Yeah. 2 Carson Beck.
I think it's a good point.
He's the quarterback you probably trust the second least, P4 quarterback. it's Baron Morton and Carson Beck.
I think
that are in this playoff?
Yeah, in this playoff.
I think it's Baron Morton, Carson Beck, Marcel Reed.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that.
Marcel Reed's
Mateer's in that conversation.
Mateer's in that conversation too. I think I'd put Mateer lower than Marcel Reed. Now
I'm not
biased there.
I'm not a Jake Retzlaff guy, but
Well,
I'm
he said
biased
power
as well.
four.
I said power 4.
Okay,
I wasn't going
yeah.
to talk about the G5 quarterbacks because they're G5 quarterbacks.
Well, I would trust Alonzo
I
Barnett.
trust him with my life, probably.
Yeah, more than Carson Beck, personally.
Okay, that's fair.
Sure, we can move on though, unless anyone wants to add something.
Do y'all disagree with that? Do you guys think
No, they
of the teams that are in the playoff, do you think
they
have
play the
easiest
winner
path?
of Tulane Ole Miss, and then they play the winner of, as you said, the War. That is the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic.
I agree, because also you get the easy second round matchup, their first game against Ole Miss or Tulane, and then semifinals. You like that it's a war, but I mean you're gonna play a tough team, but it's the semifinals. I hope that if you're in the semifinals, you're playing a tough team.
I will say,
Yes.
last time Georgia and Ole Miss played, I don't know if I'd call that a war, as I would like it was more of a shootout than a war. I feel like war is typically like physical, trenches, low scoring, pounding, smashing. It
was a battle.
Yeah,
It was a shootout.
This was a shootout last time at Georgia. This time it would be a neutral site game in New Orleans, right? Sugar Bowl's New Orleans, is that right?
Sugar Bowl is New Orleans.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if Tulane wins, that's like home field for Tulane, I believe.
Georgia's going to travel.
That's crazy.
How expensive
I-
the tickets are going to be.
I get what you're saying because I thought of that too. I just think Georgia's a lot better
Yeah.
than that team, and I don't really think Ole Miss has improved that much. And also Lane
Yeah.
Kiffin's gone, and
I
I
just-
refuse to agree with the committee that doesn't matter. It's not a walk in the park like
No.
it would be against Tulane.
Is it a home game for Ole Miss?
In New Orleans?
Yeah, now that Lane's in Baton Rouge. All the Ole Miss fans
Oh,
that
maybe.
were Lane fans.
Does Lane show up at that game in a press box and wear like red and blue?
I need to have a fake mustache and sunglasses on.
What's stopping them from bringing him back in to coach?
They get to the natty, they're
Their
like, "We
pride.
need you."
Ole
Yeah,
Miss, it's their
over.
pride. That would never happen. Imagine
Look,
him
he's,
sitting on
he's
the
30
front-
he's 30 minutes away. You're like, just pull up, bro.
I love Pete Golding gave his like introductory press conference today, I guess, or yesterday, and all the Ole Miss fans have been like, "Oh, this is so refreshing." He cussed a ton, like he's a true blue collar, like this is a football guy. And I'm like, 2 months ago, y'all were like fawning over Lane Kiffin and his like kind of whole different, I'm doing hot yoga,
and all the
I'm
state fans are like,
reformed.
this is literally just Zach Arnett 2.0.
Yeah, but it's just really funny that they flipped the script so quickly,
Apparently-
as one does.
Apparently, he had a problem finding a hot yoga place in Baton Rouge,
Really?
according to a message board person.
Oh,
He
well.
posted
He
a
went to, like,
picture like the day after but they didn't like him that much, so I guess, or he didn't like them because he
He
posted
didn't
a
like
picture
them.
day after he didn't like them.
He's probably very
He's- he-
specific.
the message board person said he'd been to like 4 spots already.
Imagine it's like Lane Kiffin begs for Ole Miss job back, can't find hot yoga place in Baton Rouge
Well,
that suits him.
LSU would
his-
just open one
His
for him.
former hot yoga instructor is now blowing up on TikTok because now she's using that she was Lane Kiffin's hot yoga
Official
instructor.
hot yoga instructor of Lane Kiffin. She
What
should
if-
just open a Baton Rouge
Yeah,
branch.
open.
Well, no,
just-
she's in Oxford. She lives in Oxford.
That's what
yeah,
I'm saying.
but
He could
open
just
a Baton
pay her.
Rouge branch.
Oh, that's a good point. Then she should.
I don't know how.
He should just pay her the salary difference from the Ole Miss job to the LSU job
There you
for
go.
her to move to
Yeah,
Baton
I don't know
Rouge.
what kind of route she has in
Yeah, I
Oxford,
don't know.
but so that'd be something to consider.
I don't know
for
either.
sure.
But if she's popping up on my TikTok feed, she's blowing up.
Yeah, that's fair. Shall we get on
Yeah.
to Duke UVA?
Duke at UVA. Well, not at UVA versus UVA.
Oh, this one hurt. UVA, you'd already played Duke in the regular season, and you handled them easily. That game showed you the perfect game script on how to beat them, and it was to get off to a fast start, never look back, take advantage of Duke's weak secondary, and then make Duke play catch-up, not let them run the ball. Duke comes out, has a massive, long opening touchdown drive, where you actually had them stopped, and then you jump off sides on the punt attempt, and they go for it on 4th down and get it. Then you don't score, but then Minsta gives you a gift and throws a pick, and you score a touchdown off of that. So maybe you're kind of back in it. But then you think you have Duke stopped, and then you give up a fake punt, and they go down and score again. And so then the game script from the first game is completely gone. Duke ends up being able to run the ball the whole time because they're in control now. They have 41 carries on the day. So Duke really does just feel like they're controlling the game. Then there's life. UVA gets the ball back, down 7, like a minute 50 left, a minute 40 left. They have to drive 96 yards, and they do so. Beautiful ball by Chandler Morris on the touchdown. Great catch. and we're off to overtime. Duke scores pretty easily first overtime period. And then there's a weird rule that I've never heard of before where you can just enforce the penalty yardage of a personal foul onto the opposing team's starting position. So UVA has to start from the 40.
It makes sense.
They go trick
Do
play.
it on the kickoff.
Yeah, you can do it on a kickoff.
It does make
like,
sense. I just have never seen it. UVA goes trick play mode, and Chandler Morris throws a pick on the first play of their OT possession. They lose. They don't get to make the playoffs. JMU gets to make the playoffs. I know those two JMU guys they showed in the crowd were ecstatic. But
that was so funny.
It just hurts for Virginia. Good win for Duke. Thoughts on this game, guys?
Yeah. First of all, never predict a Duke game because
it's pointless.
Good luck. We kind of hit a little bit on one this year, but other than that, it has been a bad miss, and we've had more Duke games than I thought we would this year.
Yeah, we did
Duke,
Illinois.
Our fourth Duke game.
Was it really?
I think so.
Yeah, we've done a good bit because they keep giving big games.
Now, what is just hilarious to me is you described it really well, but if you just go and look at the first 5 drives on the play-by-play on ESPN, it is just it's hilarious. It is absolutely hilarious, and that's without even diving deep into the offside call and the fake punt as well, and Mensah's terrible throw for a pick. All of those, if you dive deeper, it gets even funnier. But for this game to start 15 plays, 75 yards, 9 minutes and 38 seconds, touchdown Duke, in which they have 3 third-down conversions and a 4th-down conversion. Virginia responds. They hold the ball for 4 minutes. They go 47 yards but miss a field goal. Mensah gets it right back. On the second play, there's a pick. Virginia scores immediately on a 23-yard touchdown. And then Duke goes 13 plays, 75 yards, 8 minutes. Touchdown Duke, where they have a 3rd-down conversion and 2 4th-down conversions. That's just the first 5 drives of the game.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. I didn't have the sound on for much of this game because I'm listening to Gus Johnson, because why wouldn't you? But I
would listen to a Gus Johnson audiobook.
Exactly. I do wish that I had the sound on for how Sean McDonough react to this, and maybe you could speak to it. Did you have the sound on for this game?
I did actually for the start. Yes, he was pretty stunned, and he was raving a lot about how this is exactly how Duke needed to start this game. This is exactly what they needed.
Yeah, I mean, anyone needs a 9-minute, 38-second touchdown drive to start the game.
One of those long, tantalizing drives, as JP calls it.
Tantalizing. It was unbelievable.
You missed a brilliant one then, as the Vikings went 14 plays, 12 and a half minutes, and scored a touchdown.
We're going to have to mention that on Tuesday's show. I need that in the show. And then Virginia, they somehow find their way back into this game, which is really what is astounding for me, and I have to give them a ton of credit, because what Jack was saying a ton throughout the second half is, we're choking this. We're choking this. And he's saying this while they're trailing, too. So, it's not like they have the lead and they're choking a big lead. No, they're trailing, trying to make the comeback, and then they're just not quite getting over the hump yet. They start that drive, the second half, with a Duke drive, apparently a Duke drive, a 7-minute, 40-second drive for a field goal, and then Duke immediately responds, and then Virginia goes turnover on downs, pick, field goal, and then I have to give a ton of credit to Tony Elliott and Chandler Morris and Virginia in the biggest moment of their season to go 96 yards in 1 minute and 22 seconds with all of it under 2 minutes. And if I'm not mistaken, they had 1 timeout for that entire drive. It might have been 0.
They had 2 because the Duke guy ran out of bounds on their 3rd down.
You're right.
Saving UVA a field goal, a timeout.
Yes, you're right. That was a beautifully executed 2-minute drive. That is perfect. That's exactly how I would do it. And I am the way that you should do it, which is, of course, the way I do it in the video game is exactly how you should do it. That is something I personally give myself a ton of credit for, is how well I can execute with little to no time. And so I personally like to think that I should be on a lot of staffs in this country, both professionally and collegiately, as a guy who gives you what the decision should be in a certain standpoint for using a timeout or managing the clock. And they managed it perfectly. When you make the completion and you get to the spot, I think they had At that point, it was 35 seconds left, no timeouts. Go, go, go. You are 20 or so yards away. Take your end zone shot right here. Because if it's incomplete, time clock stops, and you've already used an end zone shot. When you get deep down the field in a 2-minute drive, what you're trying to do when you're down 7 is you want first to get into a spot to where worst case scenario we can complete a Hail Mary. And so we do everything we possibly can to get there. Once we've gotten there, now we are trying to get to the 25-yard line so we can take feasibly at least 3 end zone shots, if not 4, with all 4 downs. They did that perfectly, and they make an incredible play. Chandler Morris throws a beautiful ball, a great catch in the corner of the end zone. I don't remember his name.
I don't either because he's a backup receiver. He was filling in for Terrell Harris. But it was just really well done to fill in while you're looking up his name because
Wood.
Charlie Wood? No, I'm thinking of Charlie B from Nashville, Tennessee.
Wow,
we'll get to him
later segment.
Yeah, sorry. Elijah Wood is his name.
Elijah Wood, okay.
No.
I'm pretty sure it is Elijah Wood, like the actor. Maybe I'm wrong.
I'll
look at the box score. It's actually probably in the box score.
He's a
Eli Wood.
Eli
so
Wood.
Yeah.
It could be Elijah Wood.
Could be Elijah.
Elijah.
What about Elijah?
I hope not.
To start that drive, you don't have tons of time, but you have enough time. And Duke's playing too high. They're playing soft. And so UVA's just taking the layups. They're just working their way down the field.
Getting the penalties.
They're not forcing anything because while they do need to hurry, they have enough time. And then as soon as they get far enough down the field, Duke has to stop just playing prevent too high. Mm-hmm. You get a one-on-one shot, you take it, you convert. It was just really well handled, no panic, which you would hope from a fifth-year quarterback that he would deliver in those moments, but he did perfectly. So big ups for that. Unfortunately, he did not handle the trick play very well, but it is what it is.
At first, I kind of disagree with you with your feeling of what a terrible play call, but you made a great point in the moment of when you run a trick play, you are twice, if not more, if not 5 times as likely to force some kind of throw.
100%.
Every single time because it's the trick play. This is our one opportunity, even though it's just 1st and 10. We got to seize this moment right now. We caught them, even though he did not catch them, and he throws a pick to double coverage. And it was actually a guy who was replaced a Duke linebacker that had got hurt in the game, and it was his first game of the season, and he makes a pick to end that game. I agree now with you in that was a terrible play call.
It's a panic play call for one thing. For talking about how they didn't panic at all on that game, the game tying drive in regulation. You almost get reactionary to being down in overtime and being on the 40 instead of the 25, and you're like, oh, we gotta get it all back right now, and then you do that. Question for y'all real quick. This is the biggest side. Manny Diaz full beard, is that a yay or nay?
Nay.
I think I agree it's nay. I don't think it fits him.
Also, I just like him clean shaven because that's what he had when he was at State.
Sure.
So that's just how I think of him.
For shorter people, I don't mind longer hair, but I don't like a lot of facial hair.
That's fair. It is also, yeah, I think that's fair. I don't think it fits Duke either. For Duke's head coach to have a full beard and be a little
it's not just like any guy. It's like grizzly.
Yeah, because there's some gray. It's a peppery beard. I'm just not the biggest fan. My last thought on this is it's just really funny that Duke wins this, and it's like hooray for Duke, but it doesn't mean anything aside from you're the ACC champion because you weren't going to get into the big dance. You weren't going to get into the cultural playoff. It's not like there's a huge, massive bowl on the line anymore. So it kind of felt anticlimactic in that way of like, oh, now UVA is not going to the playoffs, and Duke just kind of is like, yay, we did it. And then they get asked why they should go to the cultural playoff, and they have to make up some reason. But just a weird moment in Charlotte at the end of the game, in my opinion.
100%. I fully agree. Poor Virginia.
Great season. Second ever 10-win season, and I did confirm with my dad that he was a freshman when the other 10-win season happened. So
fire.
I told him, I was like, apparently you're a good luck charm because went to school at UVA, moved away, and has since moved back in recent years. And so he's been in Charlottesville for both 10-win seasons. Maybe they should give him a contract is what I'm like, maybe. You can give my dad a 7-figure contract. I'm fine with that.
I'd be fine with that, too.
Yeah, I mean, why would you not? Shall we move on to our last game? The main event, Gus Johnson's on the call. That's kind of how it's the main event. Not that it's actually the case, but he just has that knack for as soon as you hear him on the call. your heartbeat gets going a little bit. The anticipation ticks up. It's the Big Ten Championship. It's 1 versus 2. Ohio State, who's been number 1 almost all season since beating Texas to open it. And then Indiana, who's been number 2 for a large stretch. And shout out Sanders. We gave him grief for having Indiana 1. And they prove him right on the field. Kurt Cignetti does what he always does. He wins. Google him. And that's what they did. They won. They won 13-10. It's not a pretty game. It's not like they lit up the scoreboard. But they were fantastic defensively. They got big plays when they needed it from Mendoza. They got a 37-yard rush from Hemby. Charlie B. from Nashville, Tennessee is filling in very well for the hurt Omar Cooper, making big plays down the field. And the explosive plus the defense is, in my opinion, what won them this game. Thoughts?
This might be the biggest game of the podcast for this season because this is the game that just gave me the lead in the pick'em.
True. I was going to say the biggest game was A&M, Mississippi State.
No, this was the last game of the regular season. Are we going to pick Army-Navy for a chance for JP to tie? I currently lead. I currently lead the pick'em 47-46. It was tied at 46-all going into Indiana, Ohio State.
That's pretty good. I was
the only one of the three of us that picked Indiana to cover, and they do. And so now at the worst case scenario is me and JP will tie after we pick Army-Navy. But I was pretty nervous going into halftime, not about the pick'em, but about Indiana's chances. And I wish I could take credit for having them ranked 1 and be seer, but because I'm resume based, I can't even be like, oh, I was just right. This is the best team in the country all along. Like, it kind of like I can't even like try and use
Crazy.
that.
I gave you your props and you just hand it right back.
No. I'm gonna be honest, and the honest thing is, I try to rank resume based, and sometimes I fail, sometimes I succeed, but I can't use that and then be like, well, I knew Indiana was the best team in the country.
I will take my props and give them back to you for being honest. You're taking props one way or another.
All right, cool. Indiana was scaring me going into halftime. It felt exactly kind of like Michigan. After the 2 field goals Indiana had, I literally was like, one of my points in the preview was, okay, Indiana, don't do what Michigan does. Capitalize on mistakes. And they did the exact opposite. I think they start the game. I'm pulling up the stats now. They started with 2 field goals, right? Am I mistaken?
Not mistaken.
That is what I thought. And so it had me feeling like we were about to watch the exact same game where
a missed field goal in between the two.
Yeah, and Sayan has a pick in one of the first drives. His first drive and field goal, and then you have the other field goal, and I'm just like, this is feeling very much like the Michigan game, and I really think Ohio State stands a good chance of just pulling away. And they don't. Kurt Cignetti shows up. That team shows up in the second half and hold Ohio State to 0 points, which is really impressive. I mean, it was just that was one of the things that I think we were interested to see was Indiana's defense versus Ohio State's offense. The running joke / serious question we've had all year is Ohio State pulling punches because their regular season schedule is kind of light. Other than that Texas game to open the season, what is Julian Sayan's ceiling really if they give him the full playbook and let him run that offense? And the Indiana defense showed up, holds Ohio State to 10 points, and then the offense shows up and gets the touchdown in the end. In the almost near the end of the game in the third quarter, it was a crazy game, and then we get the Fernando Mendoza post game interview, which that was iconic. JP, I assume you saw the interview.
We're flipping champs.
We're flipping champs.
The what I sent in the chat was I said I guess this is just what kids are going to sound like now in post game press conferences because he's not alone in sounding like that. Ty Simpson sounds almost identical. And talks very, very similar. And I don't just mean like praising Jesus and putting all glory to God, but talking in that way and giving, trying to, people were calling out, it felt like fake because it is like, it's putting so much importance on the fact that God, not they, but God gave them the opportunity to even play in this kind of game. But at the same time, then being like, "Oh, we're like that. We're always gonna continue to punch." I don't know what Mendoza exactly said, but he was saying
we're gonna drag you into the deep end, and we know that our glue is
because
strong
we're
enough.
A brotherhood.
Yeah,
yes. And then he did the thing,
and he said something like, So our glue is like we're gonna stay glued or something, and the best part is after he finishes that like whole like 5 sentences jammed together, he kind of ends it off on like a little bit of a misspeak / like the phrase doesn't make perfect sense, and he gives a little like almost like damn, I
messed it up. I
did.
He like I rehearsed it and I messed it up.
Yeah, so that's why I said I guess that's just how kids are gonna sound like now, because you think of it is our generation, but now think of what the future generations are going to be as well. Now that we have all, God willing, we are all going to graduate college.
Lord willing, and the creek don't rise.
Think of people that you know just right now. We have younger siblings. All of us, we have younger siblings. Think of the people your younger siblings talk about that are like, oh, that dude is weird. I think that's just gonna become what it's like. And look, to be honest, I don't think that's a new shocking revelation, because I'm sure our parents feel like the kids the decade before them were really weird too. So I think that's just gonna be now. It might just be this is how I feel now that that's not my generation. Oh, this is just kind of a little bit weird.
Are you calling Fernando Mendoza not your generation?
No, I think that's just like this is maybe the start of it, because with all the internet and everything, it has become you have a lot more, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but freaks and geeks. You just have a lot more people that are closeted, that spend so much time alone, spend so much time online. And not that is who Mendoza is, but that is how those kinds of personalities are created. Not saying that it's negative.
Yeah.
And not also trying to pinpoint the religious stuff, because we're a religious pod.
BYU fan base.
Multifaceted in some ways in that regard.
For my biggest takeaway.
Yeah, do it.
Well, it was something I talked about coming into the game, that if Indiana were to do it, it would open the door to anyone, saying that anyone now in the playoff outside of Tulane and Ole Miss can win the national championship. And yes, JMU can win the national championship. I say that jokingly. But anyone can, because the formula was produced by Indiana. Now, what really, really pissed me off before the game was, I don't know if you guys saw it, but the Fox crew, the Fox Game Day crew, the Big Noon crew, and I don't mean Joel Clatton, Gus Johnson, but Mark Ingram, and Matt Leinart, and Brady Quinn, and Urban Meyer.
And the Barstool guy, what's his name?
Not Dave Portnoy. He's been terrible all season. But those 4 guys, when they're picking the game, they're all, for one, picking Ohio State, and I'm fine with that. But they're saying, oh, it's going to be 31-24. Oh, I got 34-31, 28-24. Give me 27-21. Ohio State's given up 9 touchdowns the entire season.
Yeah.
And you think that Indiana's just going to put up touchdowns against them? And on the same side, Indiana is second to Ohio State in the same stat category when it comes to defensive play.
Sure.
And so you think, oh, Indiana's just going to give up 30 to Ohio State, which we thought was a possibility coming into the game. But to predict that kind of score, no, this was never going to be a shootout. This was going to be 16-13. Maybe Ohio State pulls ahead and it's 24-3 at worst. Like I completely, that dumbfounded me. And that's a crew that has covered Indiana and Ohio State the entire year. And that is the final scores you're going to pick? You're just picking like generic scores like it's an NFL game? No, this is 2 elite defenses with elite playmakers. And Indiana, which is now becoming the takeaways, their defense is actually kind of showing up. That's statistically, they've looked that way the entire season. No one's watched Indiana games, so no one really knows that.
Yeah.
But the formula was produced to beat Ohio State, and that was the biggest fear for me, and I think a lot of people coming into the playoff was, oh, Ohio State's just going to roll everybody because they've been holding punches and because they have so many playmakers. But this is the formula, and Indiana showed it, and this is the formula for at least right now. It very well could change because we've only seen Ohio State lose once. But you have to have playmakers who can make big-time plays offensively. Indiana had that. And Elijah Surratt, Charlie B. from Nashville, Tennessee, if they had Omar Cooper, they would have had that. You need a quarterback who can process, escape the rush, and make big-time throws. Mendoza did all of that the entire game. You need a run game that can somehow find 3.5 yards per rush. Indiana in this game found 3.5 yards per rush.
Well done, Indiana.
With Roman Hemby and Kalen Black. You need, that's just offensively. You need this. On top of that, defensively, you need a run defense that can hold the line. They shut down Ohio State's rush offense in this game. That's not being talked about enough. You need a pass rush that can get after the quarterback with 4. They were able to sack Sayan multiple times in this game. But to sack Sayan, you also need a DB group that can take away the first read of Jeremiah Smith or Carnell Tate somehow. So Sayan has to go to a second progression, and then the pass rush can get there. That's just defensively. On top of that, you also need to have a better special teams day, which they did, going 2 for 3 to Ohio State's 1 for 2 on field goals. You need some luck. Ball's got to bounce your way in a few ways. You need Sayan to just fall on his butt on a QB sneak for no reason.
A couple of missed holding calls.
Missed holding calls. You need.
I think the holding calls were going a little bit both ways. I think it was just a very.
The refs were told pregame to not call holdings.
You need some luck in that Mendoza. Look, I do. It's a funny discussion of our quarterbacks faking injuries for aura at this point. But you need like Mendoza to get up after that hit, which immediately that's the first play of the game for Indiana.
Yeah, we're like, this game's just kind of over already.
Yeah, you felt that in the crowd through the screen. I felt that way as well. I could not imagine Indiana fans how they felt in that game. It's like, oh, it's just over, man. And Mendoza made an incredible play. And then you need to have a better day coaching. I think there's only 4 teams in the playoff that can't do that. And that's Old Piss, because I don't think they can outcoach Ryan Day with Pete Golding, and I don't think they have the playmakers defensively. Tulane, obviously, talent's just not there. JMU, obviously, talent's just not there.
You saying Bob Chesney can't outcoach Ryan Day?
Go Dukes.
Yeah, but does he have the playmakers to be able to run?
Doesn't matter. He's going to do more with less.
Can he run for 3.5 yards per rush? I love Alonzo Barnett, but can he make the plays Mendoza played?
If we bring Matthew Sluka back out off the sidelines, maybe.
And then the final one is, and this is a team I really like, but OU. I just don't think they can't run the football.
Yeah.
So I don't think they can get up to that and have a sustainable ground game. And look, I think the first pushback could be Bama.
Yeah, that's
but Bama has
at
least showed some pulse in the run game. And I'd also argue that Kalen DeBoer, with his head coaching and his experience already in playoff, they can make enough big time plays that even if they weren't able to run the football extremely well. So
I think when it's when he's at best as a coach is in the biggest moments.
Absolutely. And so I think Indiana showed that is going to be the formula right there to beat Ohio State. You need to do all of those things, which is insane. But I do think every team that Ohio State's going to face in this college football playoff is going to be capable of doing that. And I think they're in grave danger now that we've shown that, because I think A&M very easily, because they're a toolbox team. They've shown they can win any kind of game this year. But they have the playmakers to do all of those things that Indiana did. They'll just need Marcel Reed to beat Fernando Mendoza for a day.
Le'Veon Moss to be healthy, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Miami has all the playmakers to do it. They'll just need Carson Beck to beat Fernando Mendoza for a day. Georgia very easily could do it, and they would give Ohio State probably the toughest battle outside of Indiana. And then for whoever they were to meet in the national championship, if it's Indiana, if it's Texas Tech, if it's Oregon, if it's Bama, I think all of those teams have that capability. And so for me, that was my biggest takeaway is, oh, really? Anyone could really win this. Will it probably be just Ohio State or Georgia? Probably, which kind of sucks. And I hope that doesn't happen.
I assume Ohio State's still the odds-on favorite.
I don't know. I can look that up real quick.
Yeah, look it up.
While you do that, do you have?
I was just gonna say, I think interesting thing too. Talking about pulling punches. I feel like Ohio State was maybe actually pulling punches. The punches they pulled just weren't very good.
No, that was something I've mentioned multiple times. Whenever we would talk about Ohio State, I was like, well, if you keep plays in your back pocket, there's always a chance they just don't work. or maybe the plays are good plays, but you just haven't run them in an in-game scenario, and so you just botch it.
Yeah.
So that was always a possibility.
Because you got inside the red zone twice, and the first time 3rd and 1 you don't get it, and then you run the QB sneak, and Mendoza falls down and you don't get it.
Not saying.
Yep, thank you. Good
You're
catch. Good. And it's like a long one, and I don't hate that play call because it's QB sneak. I also will say, due to Sayan's size, I don't necessarily love the play call because you're asking a guy that's not very physically imposing to go be physically imposing.
Yeah.
And then the next time you run a little bootleg, you don't have any of your playmakers on the field. Jeremiah Smith isn't on the field. It's heavy personnel, so it's mainly just tight ends out there, and that doesn't work. And then I think kind of because of the lack of success, you get cold feet and you go kick the field goal to tie it instead of going for it, and you don't get it, which I disagree with that decision. I would have liked you just foot on the gas. You've gone for it before. You're going to go for it again. You've gone for it 4th and short all season. Now you also – the argument becomes a whole lot different because you don't at all expect your kicker to miss that kick. So worst comes to worst, like Iowa, it's 13-13. Doesn't plan out the way. Now it looks a whole lot worse. But I just think there's – some like play calling confusion and stuff, especially in the red zone, that I'm like, yeah, maybe pulling punches and never really having to be in this spot all season really hurt you. So now the question is this a blip? And that bad offensive performance there in the locker room and in the head coaching office going, man, we really blew that one, but here's how we fix it. We're going to do this, this, and this. And then, maybe say they play Indiana again and they score in the red zone? Or is it this is a big issue and we don't exactly know how to fix it?
I don't know. think for the decision to kick the field goal at the end, I like the decision.
Sure.
But I hate how you set it up. On 3rd and 1, again, if you're going to throw the ball, why is it not to Jeremiah Smith or Carnell Tate? And for 2, I continue to bring up the video game, but it is my most applicable way of understanding this game. The hardest field goals to kick in that game are deep field goals on the road because the meter's just all over the place. You have no chance. And then the other one is inside the 5 to 10 yard line from one of the hashes. You miss, your kicker just doesn't get it inside the uprights, or you miss too far left or too far right. It's a tough angle.
Yeah.
So on 3rd and 1, if you're not going to throw to Jeremiah Smith or Carnell Tate, why aren't you running it towards the middle and trying to give your kicker an easier chance if you were to somehow fail the field goal? That I think would be my transgression there. But I would have kicked the field goal personally because I don't think Mendoza was leading a game-winning drive. Now he kind of technically proved me wrong, but also the deep shot to Charlie Becker over the top he hits that in large part because Ohio State has to settle up for the run.
Yeah.
To get a stop and stop them from moving the chains. But I think in terms of, is this just a blip? I don't know, because it could have looked worse.
Yeah.
They only score a touchdown on Indiana's fluky pick on the screen pass where now they made an incredible play, but that wasn't like it was, you just took it away from Mendoza. Just the ball bounced to your defender and he caught it, and you score a touchdown off that drive. And then they had the 2 drives inside the Indiana 10, and Ryan Day, it kind of continues to be an issue of, in these kind of big moments, some questionable decisions. You have 2 drives inside the Indiana 10 in the second half, and you have 0 points to show for it.
Inexcusable.
It's inexcusable. So I think it's very possible that it could have looked worse.
Sure.
Because you could make the same argument that y'all made with Texas Tech in that, Indiana left points on the field. I'd argue their Ohio State defense is good enough that it is really hard to continue to pick up first downs, and that's why field goals are forced. But it could have looked worse. It really could have.
Sure.
It really, really could have, and I think that's got to be scary for Ohio State fans going forward. It's something I was thinking about during the game is, like, how do you feel as an Ohio State fan right now? Like, especially at the end of the game, losing it. You won the Michigan game, but, like, how much do you care about this team going forward into the playoff, and are you really, really, like, scared at this point? For a team that is dominated all season long.
Yeah.
And while it's just one game, for what cannot be lost in this. For Indiana, a team now in their second year with Kurt Signetti, just their second year, to already have the players and the playmakers, and then those playmakers make the plays against you on the biggest stage, why should I not expect that to continue down the road? Like, why should I not expect that if Ohio State had played some tougher damn games in the Big Ten, that they wouldn't have lost a game here or there?
Sure.
If they hadn't played Arch Manning in his first road start, would they have lost to Texas? If that game was in week 3 and Arch had his legs under him a little bit, maybe they would have lost that game. Had they had played at Oregon, had they had played Penn State before they fell off, would they have lost those kinds of games? If Michigan had a pulse offensively, would they have lost those kinds of games? So I don't. They were dominant all season. They deserve to be number 1. But now maybe not so much. Maybe they are just one of these teams that can win it all.
I think
they are the odds-on favorite right now, as Sanders asked earlier. They're at plus 220. Indiana just behind them at plus 290. And then there's a gap. There's a pretty big, sizable gap, honestly. Georgia at plus 550. And then the fourth odds-on favorite is the Oregon Ducks at plus 800. Texas Tech at plus 900. Huge gap, Texas A&M.
I wonder why.
Those are the four teams that have the bye, and then the one team that essentially has a bye playing JMU at home.
Yep.
So
that'd be why.
That being said, though, the 8 seed won it all last year, and the 7 seed, if I'm not mistaken, Notre Dame made it to the national championship as well. So,
one more question about this game: Gus Johnson, does he prep things before? Charlie B from Nashville, Tennessee. Did he come up with that on the fly? Does he go through each player and be like, "That's gonna be my thing for this guy"? Like, how do you think he preps for games? Does he come up with the phrases and stuff that he uses? Also, how does he live on the state of almost cracking voice eternally? Wow! Just like
it's what he does.
He's just great at that.
He just eternally is like his voice is about to crack, but not quite.
For the lines, part of that is just who he is personality wise. But for 2, he probably said it in a funny way in meetings during the season when talking about the Indiana team before the game.
Yeah.
Oh, they got Charlie Becker. Oh, he's from Nashville, Tennessee, and somehow makes it out of that.
He's also had Indiana before this season.
As someone who wanted to be an announcer, you 100% prep a few things here and there that you think about. Like every announcer thinks about what are they going to say at the end of the game to try and encapsulate the entire game into one sentence.
Sure.
Because that is what is going to be played over and over for years and years to come, of what you said as the clock hit 0 when Jalen Moreau on 4th down slips and falls in a short and Michigan beats Alabama. What is Chris Fowler going to say? Because that's played over and over for years and years to come. So he's probably thought of a few of those, but it's also, I think it's just his personality. That's just who he is.
Jack did also point out that he's kind of like a slow talker. So, like, it allows him, which is a good trait to have in almost everything, but, like, it allows you to think about what you're saying and, like, plan out the next thing and craft kind of, like, the stuff that you want from TV announcers. Whereas someone like me, or I guess me and Jack, maybe less with JP, I feel like we both talk really fast.
Yeah, I would never be able to think of something mid-sentence. I kind of have to
because
start.
you're already at the end of the sentence.
Correct.
Announcing is no different than riding, well, not riding a bike, I wouldn't say that, but, like, playing golf or learning how to dribble or studying for a test. Repetition.
Yeah.
Years and years of doing it, you get better and better at it, and you have felt and been in enough moments. He's already had to call the biggest play of the game hundreds of times.
Yeah.
And so it's just
nothing new.
It's a layup at that point.
Yeah. Real quick, I want to go back to talking about the Ohio State fans. How do you think they feel? I think the worst thing for them from this game is you were fine with the decision to kick it. The Ohio State fans I've seen are not, and I think they're coming from the game feeling like Ryan Day got outcoached, and he got outcoached by the head coach at Indiana, who's fantastic. But
100%
they're the Ohio State University. They should not get outcoached by whoever's coaching Indiana. That can't happen. And so I think that's what's most worrying, and that's what's most frustrating for them. Golly, excuse me.
That is a wild sneeze.
I tried to hold it back, and it made it worse. But yeah, I think that's what's really sticking with them. And then, that's all I really have.
Mendoza won himself the Heisman, it would seem.
Thank goodness. Oh, my gosh.
The odds were switching very early in this game. Pavia became an odds-on favorite, and then Mendoza did what he did in the second half. Specifically, the odds flipped as soon as Mendoza got hurt on that first play. Mendoza is a minus 2,500 favorite to win the Heisman Trophy. Pavia, the second odds-on favorite, at plus 1,200. Massive, massive gap, and then it's no man's land. Jeremiah Love is third, technically.
Sure.
On the ballot. But it'll be Mendoza in New York. Pavia will get to go there, or a farm, do all of that. But I'd also like to add, Pavia is part of the same club with Simpson and Mendoza in terms of the way his post-game press conferences are just kind of a little bit weird. He just aura farms in them, and he knows he's aura farming. I think Mendoza is trying to aura farm, which is when you made that point of I kind of messed that one up.
So it's just a bunch of Jason Tatums we've got in sports.
Well, Jason Tatum is just like that, where he's a cornball, yeah.
But they have their own flavor to him. Like Diego Pavia is a little more like cool, edgy, bad boy. Like Johnny Manziel's kind of become his mentor, and so I think he copies a lot of what Johnny Manziel does. Mm-hmm. Mendoza is just like this really happy, energetic goofball that has no aura, but then that's kind of aura in and of itself because he's almost like true to himself. But is he really being true to himself, or is he just like playing
Kurt
into
Signetti
it?
has aura. When he was walking out to shake Ryan Day's hand without even a smirk.
How difficult do you think that was to hold back the smirk?
I think it was easy for him, and like that could just be aura
that has
farming.
to have been hard.
I think he's like
hard.
that. I think he's just
no.
like
I
that.
think that was
I'm
a
fully
struggle.
bought in.
I think.
And
I'm also just a guy who I'm smiling right now, and I couldn't stop if I wanted to. But that has to have been a huge struggle.
I think initially he fought back the little smirk, but as soon as he fought back the initial, he was.
Bro, they were freaking champs, and he couldn't even give it a little smile.
Job's not finished.
I don't know how
that's 100% what he's saying. And then for Ty Simpson, it's the flavor of like, I'm the coach's kid. I'm never good enough. Like I can always be better. Always things to improve on, and then that.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. I'm very happy Diego Pavia's not winning the Heisman.
Yeah.
That's a big win.
I know there's probably someone that disagrees with what I said there, but go watch Pavia's post-game on the field interview after he beat LSU, in which he was saying in the prior week in which he had just lost to Bama, their first loss of the season, he was saying, I kind of lost myself for a week. And, I kind of had to go, get back on God and
God humbled me, basically.
Start relying on him, and I had to, be humble and all that. Like, I don't think he was – I know he believes that, but it's just like it was goofy. It was like, bro, we know what you're trying to do here. We can see right through it. And you lost to Bama on the road.
Yeah.
You didn't lose yourself. You're not
teams
you're
do
not
that.
down in the dumps.
You didn't have a disaster class against South Carolina or something
or
like
Florida
that.
State.
Yeah, or Florida State, for example. Just to throw a random one out there.
Yeah, it's just a random team that came to mind.
Shall we take a trip down memory lane of the stock market to close this out?
I'm excited for this.
Me too.
See what it looks like.
Sadly,
so
we don't have the first couple
What's
weeks.
the plan? What do we want to?
I'm just going to start scrolling through and taking, shouting out some of my favorites.
Oh, the first one that we've got that we picked is tough.
Yeah. Well, no, I have a week before that.
What week do you have before that? But you don't have what we bought and sold.
Buy or anything on the.
Oh, true.
But I mean, we could. That's all right.
In week 4, we discussed if Auburn was going to make the college football playoff. I'm pretty sure I sold on that.
I have no idea if I bought or sold.
But that's just really funny.
It is
to think about.
Given how low I was on Jackson Arnold, I would like to believe that I sold. But I can't
discuss JMU being a playoff rep for Group of 5.
Let's go.
Which we were kind of on top of, but it is also interesting because they were not playoff rep. They were one of 2 Group of 5 playoff reps, but even still.
I also probably sold on that because I was big on UNLV and I feel like another G5 team.
Next week we discussed Sam Pittman potentially not making it to the end of the season. He very quickly got fired for that.
We were all correct there. We all sold on that stock.
Oh, JP with a sear right here.
Yeah, I went 2-0.
Indiana beats at least one of Penn State and Oregon.
Well done.
Me and Jack both sold. JP bought.
This was, I would like to remind you, before Penn State and Oregon played.
Yeah.
So we didn't know Penn State was going to fall off, but I did think Indiana had the potential to upset one of them.
Sure.
Yeah.
And who would have thought they would have upset the top 3?
Well, they didn't upset Penn State.
Sanders
True.
did buy Georgia Tech not losing in the regular season. Did not come to fruition.
Yeah.
That one hurts a little bit. On to the next week. UCLA did not go 0-12, and they were not the worst Power 4 team. The coaching change really helped them out. We all 3 bought that Dr. Shin would have Mateer ready for the Texas game,
Yes,
which
sir.
he did play, but there are questions of was he really ready. So that's a debatable one right there.
Ooh, Alabama will make the SEC championship. I sold, and y'all both bought.
Well done, JP.
I am in debt. Oh, I did. I might have cooked here though. Drew Aller will be one of the first 3 quarterbacks taken in the draft. Y'all both bought, and I sold. So
Hey, he could be a combine darling. We're gonna find out. I bet he interviews really well.
let's see.
UVA will make ACC championship. I bought and y'all sold.
Wow.
A week after you sold on it. Did we have it on back-to-back weeks there, too? Wow.
Wait, on what? On what?
On week 6, it's there as well.
Oh, I didn't know we
So
did
yeah,
back to
'cause you
back.
did it back-to-back weeks, and then you bought the
I
next
think that's
week.
probably why, because I wanted to change my mind.
Fair.
BYU to win 9 games. I sold and y'all bought. That is tough for me.
Jack.
Ty
7
Simpson-
different teams can win the Natty.
I mean,
if you had to buy or sell, 7 different teams can win the Natty right now. Would you change? Because you sold and me and JP both bought. Would you buy? Or excuse me.
I'm confetti testing real quick.
Oh, okay.
Good test. Good
Ohio
test.
State check. Indiana check.
Yeah.
Georgia.
check.
Texas Tech.
I'm not checking Texas Tech.
Really?
I just, at some point, I think the QB's got to make plays, and I'm worried, man. Oregon, I'll give Oregon a check.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not giving Ole Miss a check. Sure, I'll give A&M a check.
Oh, interesting.
Because it's not going to change my mind. I don't think there's 7 teams.
Okay.
Because I'd have to check both.
What about Bama?
I don't think Bama or OU can win it. I think they could
Okay.
both make runs. I don't think they could win it, though.
I think that's
I would
fair.
still buy that. I think there are 7 teams.
I agree.
Sure.
And I do think if like Notre Dame was in this, they would be an 8th team. BYU would not, sadly.
Ty Simpson, Heisman finalist. I sold.
And you were right.
Y'all both bought.
Coach Signetti will be at Indiana next season, week 8. Shout out to JP for buying. That quickly
Well,
came
no,
true.
Sanders
I
buying.
bought.
I apologize. I don't know why I keep thinking Sanders is on the
It's literally
the
alphabetical
third
order.
row.
It's Jack, JP, Sanders,
Tough.
left to right.
Chambliss stays starter all season. JP sold on that. A&M is best
I bought.
team in the SEC. Sanders sold.
Oh. Well, I feel like that's a pretty subjective.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
not going to
iffy.
say I was right
Ooh,
for.
what was the top 10 after week 8?
Yeah, because 7 of the current top 10 make the
Ooh.
playoffs.
Let me pull that up.
That's a
here.
great question. 7 of the current top 10 make the playoffs, and that was pre-college football playoff rankings.
So this would have been after week 8 going into
so it would
week
have been
9.
the week 9 rankings.
The week 9 rankings: Ohio State, yes. Indiana, yes. A&M, yes. Bama, yes. Georgia, yes. Oregon, yes. Georgia Tech, no. Ole Miss, yes.
There's 7.
Miami, yes. That's
Wow.
8. Vanderbilt, no.
That was all 10.
So 8 of 10
8 to
made
10.
it.
8 to 10.
That's a big one.
7 was a good number.
Huge buy.
James Franklin, next coach at Florida. We all sold. Congrats to us. Lebby fired at the end of season. We all sold. Congrats to us. Miami to make ACC title game. We all sold. Congrats to us.
What a week for us.
South Carolina finishes with 4 wins.
I don't remember. Let me find out.
Pavia will be in New York.
Wait.
We all sold.
Oh,
Oh.
shoot.
A miss there.
That's a big miss.
That was after his kind
South
of rough
Carolina
stretch.
did finish with 4 wins.
Oh, man. I sold there.
Tough. Next week, Mississippi State only wins the Egg Bowl. We all sold. We were right.
Yeah.
BYU to make the playoffs. We all bought,
Shoot.
and we were wrong.
I mean, I'm telling you, that's how we felt.
JP Sanders
I
bought
Houston
Houston
to make the playoffs. Where were they? Wait, go to the
That's
week
the week
11
11
rankings.
Oh, that's one of the worst. That's one of the worst spot buys yet.
We're gonna have to put
were
that.
were they still? They had 1 loss at this point to
Can we,
Texas
Probably,
Tech,
yeah.
and this was probably before they played. Excuse me. Yeah, Texas Tech.
Mhm. They didn't lost to TCU yet, and they didn't drop their stinker to West Virginia yet either.
What was
Houston,
I on?
Were they in it?
they weren't ranked. I
Was any
might have
G5
the
team
weeks
ranked?
wrong because
They were in the 20s.
They were 22nd. 22nd. 7-1 at the time.
So you just believed.
Yeah.
Big time.
Wow. Look at that's
Cromie
a good one for me.
You.
Which
Probably. One? At least 2 P4 teams finish undefeated.
Y'all
right both bought, and I sold.
It was right there, A&M.
Well, I guess actually, hold on. I'm sorry. What did we decide that conference championships counted or not?
Yeah, it did count. It was part of the factor.
Okay, so I won.
Interesting, you sold that after buying Georgia Tech to go undefeated.
Yeah, but Georgia Tech had probably lost.
You were hedging your bets.
Well, Georgia Tech. I mean, that there's multiple weeks between
Texas
those two,
makes the SEC championship. We all sold. Good job. Next week, Jamie makes the playoffs. We all bought.
We all sold on Clemson making a bowl game. Week 11, sorry.
Yeah.
Bad work by us.
Saying or Mendoza wins the Heisman.
Ooh. How many more SEC teams make the playoffs than Big Ten teams?
We were all right.
Huge. We all bought and hit.
JKS starts for a playoff contender next season. I sold, y'all bought, so I guess it comes down to whether or not Cal is a playoff contender next season.
True.
North Carolina did not make a bowl. Well done, us. No. Yeah.
Mississippi State to make a bowl game.
We all bought. That was pure hope. Okay. We were fine. We were fine to lose some money there. Oh, you're right. Well done.
Yeah.
Wait, did we decide that accepting a 5 and 7?
No way. There was no way that was a decision.
I'm about to say I doubt it.
Team infield will lose conference championship game and fall out of the field.
Did not happen.
I'd argue it probably would have. If BYU was 10, I think they would have dropped them.
Yes, but it didn't. But you were on the right thought process. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Week 13.
We all sold the Miami and Texas to make the playoffs week 13, which was good. We all bought. No, Sanders sold Beamer getting fired. He did not get fired. We're still waiting on Jimbo Fisher coaching news. Odds are not getting great. Week 14. There's really no good ones to talk about there because it's just so late.
Yeah.
Let me go to my notes where I had the first couple weeks.
Oh, yeah, do that. I forgot.
And let me see if we have any...
May have to go back and watch previous episodes to get a complete compendium of the Technical Fowl stock market.
Here we go. This is week 2, buy or sell.
Because we didn't do it week 1. This was a suggestion by longtime listener Clifton.
Houston make the playoffs was there. 3 ACC playoff bids was put on the table. I'm going to hope we sold that. I don't
know. Georgia Tech, Miami...
Florida State was good at the time.
Clemson was also had only lost to LSU at the time.
Yes.
Close.
2 Florida teams make the playoffs.
We had Florida State, Miami.
And USF was looking hot for the Group of 5 contender. Oh, this is a highlight of the show. Mark Gronowski will throw 10-plus touchdowns this season.
How many? Can we, JP, can we get a... Or should I pull up a... I'll pull it up.
Why don't y'all pull it up? Because he definitely finished with under 10.
I can pull it up. This season, Mark Gronowski
7
for 8 passing touchdowns.
Electric.
As a team, they threw for 10.
Wow.
I mean, that may be one of the greatest calls in podcast history.
Iowa State, Utah, and Texas Tech have established themselves as the top tier of the Big 12. That one hurts. I don't know what we bought or sold there. Houston make the playoffs was on this one as well.
Sounds like Cromie just every week was like Houston make the playoffs.
Mississippi State will make a bowl game was on this one as well. Obviously, don't have who bought and who sold.
I'll go back and watch our old videos.
Let me go to week 3. South Carolina to be above 500 was put on the table. I don't know what we did. Shane Beamer will be next head coach at Virginia Tech. Did not come to fruition. Alabama to make college football playoff was put out there. We did buy or sell Mario Craver to win the Heisman this week, I think, due to Cromie as well. Another Houston one. Notre Dame to make the playoffs. I'd be really interested to see if we bought or sold that week 3. I think I bought, personally.
I probably sold, just given how low I was in Notre Dame.
And then week 4 is, we already did it because it's in the sheet. It's the Washington is best.
Yeah.
Wide receiver, running back, QB combo, L. That was fun, though. Some hits, some misses. Shout out.
I think we walked Kenway positive in the stock market. Yeah.
I mean, it's hard if you do the quantifiable stocks. probably not. If I give myself a lot of grace for the opinion ones and say I got those right, I'm definitely walking away positive.
And there's a lot that, like the
Some hasn't happened yet.
Like Bryant Wesco and TJ Moore will enter the transfer portal next season. We don't know.
Like I sold the Ahmad Hardy best running back in college football stock. I'm saying I'm correct. I think Jeremiah Love is better. Someone could argue differently though.
Yeah.
Shall we get on out of here as it is 12:55 and we are almost 3 hours into the show. I'm going to try and end it right on 3 hours.
All right. Well, you got 34 seconds.
I'm not doing that. Thanks to everyone who tuned in. It's been a fun show. We'll be back for you all Tuesday to recap the NFL week. I may wear a brown paper bag with a sad face on it, given my Commanders' performance this past week, to be determined. But yeah, if you're still here or made it this far in the video, leave a like, subscribe, comment what your favorite fruit is. That'd be a pretty good way to get to know you, I think. Fruit's pretty tasty. Yeah, we'll see you Tuesday. Peace.
See ya.